10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to the Wrestle Talk Podcast. For the next 2 hours, we will bring you the latest pro wrestling news, in-depth analysis of all your favorite promotions from across the globe, and much, much more. We will also bring you exclusive interviews with the greatest professional wrestling personalities on the local, national, and international levels. If you want to follow the Wrestle Talk Podcast, check us out online at www.WrestleTalkPodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. And now, it's time for the reigning, defending, undisputed leader in pro wrestling podcast, the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to another great episode of the Wrestle Talk Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to be here. We have plenty to talk about tonight. Some breaking news. We're going to have a few people join us and give us their take. And, you know, as always, we've got you guys in the gallery here. You know, shout out to David Owen out there coming in from California. Great to have you. And Susie Haas always in the gallery, ladies and gentlemen. You know, always great to see our fans out there. But as always, like I say, we've got plenty of people that's going to come on tonight. Some might be a surprise to you. You never know. And it's hard to say what's going to happen. Might even be some surprises that I don't even know. Hey, who knows? But let's go ahead and get one of the co-hosts for tonight in here because, as I say, we are going to have a few people popping in. But, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome in the Hall of Fame inductee for the St. Louis Independent Hall of Fame, the one and only Luke Skywalker Roberts.
Ladies and gentlemen, episode 514 of the Wrestle Talk Podcast. And Hardcore Hoss, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to do my best tonight. I'm just going to level with the fans for those that are here in the greater St. Louis area. Still recovering a little bit. Jaw's a little bit sore. For those who don't know, this past weekend, CHWA, Big Vic took some exception to a referee's decision, and before you know it, L-Ride, several other competitors, myself, cameraman Dilly, a whole bunch of people, even my fellow longtime professional wrestling personality, both inside and outside the ring, Sadie Blaze, was literally this close from Big Vic's hand. And I'm going to tell you right now, the fans were pretty vile, pretty and very upset this past Saturday. I'm going to do the best I can, but right now, a little bit sore in the jaw, but you know, I'm going to tough through it because we got WrestleMania to talk about tonight. The biggest event of the year. And again, there's all sorts of wild and crazy stuff we can talk about here tonight. We can talk about the Hall of Fame induction. We talk about how things went down during the WWE Hall of Fame. We've got both nights of WrestleMania. We've got WrestleMania Monday, or the Raw WrestleMania, Raw after WrestleMania. We've also got, and I know we're going to be kind of hitting throughout the night too, in the world of the FWWC, Universe Mania has come and gone as well. A lot of great things. And you know what, Hoss? I'm ready for a good time. I know you're ready for a good time. And tonight, all the viewers of the Wrestle Talk Podcast are going to be ready for a good time. Hashtag Wrestle Talk Podcast. Hashtag WTP. Hashtag Let's Talk Wrestling. Hashtag WrestleMania, hashtag Universe Mania. Put out all those great hashtags to let people know that the FWWC's going to be on the air tonight. And also the Wrestle Talk podcast is always live and right here on all of our great media outlets. Hardcore Hoss, I'm going to tell you right now, tonight's been a great night, but maybe my hearing got knocked a little bit loopy when I took that shot, because I saw your lips move, but I didn't hear any talking, and maybe it's because I've still been kind of a little bit out of sorts here, but we're going to make it through as best we can here tonight, right here on the program.
Yeah, I was saying that, it looks like you have a fan there in the gallery,
Oh, you know what? Ramsey Rancid's going to have his to do. And I mean, again, Aleister Crow, Cousin Waylon, they all had some issues this past Saturday night as well. You know what? I'm not worried about this. WrestleMania is going to be off the charts tonight. And you know what? Something, Hardcore Hoss, we talk about surprises. I'm going to tell you right now, we already got one right off the top of the show. And I'm going to go ahead, and if you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. He's a man that's known throughout the FWWC. He's known throughout the Wrestle Talk podcast family. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us here tonight as a part of episode 514, he is known as the young lion with the old soul. He is known as a mainstay of the FWWC. The one, the only, Gabriel Arsene is here as well.
What's up, motherfuckers? I'm sorry. Had to get out of the way.
Hey, Arsene, I got to ask you, man. I know we're going to be talking WrestleMania here in a few minutes, but I would be remiss. What are your thoughts as it relates to Universe Mania? I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, I can see that Hardcore Hoss has got some hardware on his shoulder, and kind of looks like you don't.
Thank you for pointing out the obvious, Luke. Yes, for the uninitiated, yours truly was not successful in defending his championship at Universe Mania against one Daniel Grimm. But, pulling the curtain back just a little bit, folks, I'm not bitter about it at all. I've actually been kind of on the fence about having that belt for a while now. I'm like, honestly, it's not weighing down my shelf anymore. And it's all a matter of time before it works its way back. But with all due respect, though, Grimm, if I had to lose to anybody, I'm glad it could be somebody like you. We have plenty of history. We go back and forth. He's one of my very first opponents here in the FWWC. And, I hope to look forward to, this was technically the rubber match, but I look forward to the rubber match, I guess is what you would call it. I don't know, but.
Well, Arsene, maybe it's going to be the rubber band match, maybe. I don't know how it would be after you get through 3, but you know something, tonight we got a lot of great stuff to talk about. And one of the great things we talk about not only is the great members of the Wrestle Talk podcast family. And again, make sure to send us those messages, because tonight it's going to be a very big show. We're talking WrestleMania 41. But another thing that makes this show run each and every week is our great sponsors, without who the Wrestle Talk podcast does not keep going each and every week. And we want to give a shout out to all of our great sponsors, without who the Wrestle Talk podcast does not exist each and every week. So you know something, Hardcore Hoss, do you have that announcement from our good friend, the late Lord Alfred Hayes? Do we have that available?
Yes, we do.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Wrestle Talk podcast is brought to you each and every week by our great sponsors, Retro Zone, the great folks over at Painter's Dream Productions, the independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, which you can get your tickets on for Sunday, June 22nd by checking them out online through social media. Interstate 70 Sports Media, home of our great friend, the Maestro Jeremy Karp. Little Popeye Designs, home of those wonderful Wrestle Talk podcast tumblers. And the FWWC, the world's premier fantasy wrestling group. And guys, before we go any farther, I'm going to tell you right now, For those of you that are in the area, there's been a lot of great things here as we look at what's going on here. And again, shout out to you there, Arsene, with the idea of you're a champ even without a title. And I think I could agree with you there. I got to tell you right now, two of the hottest things moving right now are those Wrestle Talk Podcast tumblers. I know that those have been moving, especially in the WrestleMania weekend. We've had a lot of people inquire about those. And also, as a reminder, are those tickets? Their tickets are starting to become tough to come by when it comes to the idea of the FWC, the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. I know that there are still a good amount of tickets left, but they are starting to start moving. I mean, again, we're only, as crazy as it sounds, we're a little more than 7 weeks out. $30 gets you a meal, and it gets you to be in the room with some of the greats of professional wrestling. I have it on a very good authority. A matter of fact, had an opportunity to actually, I've seen several people who are going to be going into the Hall of Fame who've been on this program before. And I'm going to tell you right now, you need to make sure you're at the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. The Wrestle Talk Podcast is going to be there. Our many of our colleagues, our broadcast compatriots, if you will, our friends over at Interstate 70 are going to be there. Our friends over at the Falls Count Everywhere podcast are going to be there. Promotions from all across the St. Louis area are going to be there. Yours truly is going to be there. The Night Owl is going to be there. We've got our broadcast colleague, longtime friend, Big Sexy Chris Rodell is going to be there, among others. Make it a point. Check them out online. Social media is probably the best way to go right now, but that is going to be a huge ticket on Sunday, June 22nd, from 1 to 5 p.m. here in St. Louis. Now, you know, guys, as we're looking at things here, and actually a matter of fact here, let's just check a couple things out here. And you know what, Hardcore Hoss? A couple of our surprises are already starting to file in here tonight. It really is great that we're going to have such a great show. But before we do, I'm going to tell you this. As I've been kind of doing as of late, before we get started, we have the opportunity each and every week to do this podcast because of all of the great men and women who defend our country each and every day. Not just our military personnel, but our first responders, our police officers, our firefighters. I mean, there are so many people who each and every day defend our country so that we can have the opportunity to enjoy doing what we do. So at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Arsene, you, my friend, since you are one of the key members of the Wrestle Talk Podcast, I want to go ahead and I want to pass this over to you here because Hardcore Hoss and I have done a lot with these WrestleMania recaps, but I want to go ahead and I want to throw things over to you to get us our last little piece of business before we get going here tonight.
As always, the Wrestle Talk Podcast would like to ask everybody to remove your caps if you are wearing them, place your hands over your hearts, and take a moment to pay tribute to the greatest country on God's green earth. That is America.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, I want to give a shout out to all those great people who make it a point to defend this country each and every day so we can do what we do right here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast. And as a matter of fact, Susie Hoss, you know, it's part of what we do each and every week. It's going to be okay. It's going to be good. But, you know, when it comes down to it, guys, tonight, can't believe we say it because it really is kind of a unique situation. We have always looked forward to WrestleMania. And I got to tell you, WrestleMania weekend really did bring a lot of new things to the table, a lot of interesting ideas to the table, a lot of things that we are going to remember for many, many years. And tonight, I'm just going to level with the viewers. Tonight, we feel that since this is a recap show, this is a little bit of a special show for us. So before we get too much farther along, let's go ahead. Tonight's, as you know, it's the WrestleMania Rewind right here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast. So we feel it only fitting to give it a very special introduction. The WrestleMania Rewind begins now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is officially go time here, WrestleMania Rewind. And gentlemen, I'm actually gonna I'm gonna flip the script here a little bit before we even get started tonight. And this is gonna be something that has been in my gut for about a month. And I gotta be remiss. I'm one of those that enjoys the Hall of Fame. I really do. But I got to tell you right now, there were parts of this year's Hall of Fame that really just did not click with me. And the first one, and I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Do I appreciate and love the work of Steve Austin? Yes. Do I love the work of the Hitman Bret Hart? Yes. Do I think matches should be in a Hall of Fame? No. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think that statue, it creeped me out to no end. And I don't know. I mean, I think everyone else that went in really gave a great presentation of how things go. But the idea of matches in the Hall of Fame kind of bothered me. Another one, too, if I'm not mistaken, this year we only had 3 legacy inductees. That kind of bothers me, too. I mean, again, do I think those individuals did a great job and did a lot for the wrestling industry? Yes. But I think it's one of those where we've gone from 10 to 12 people who truly deserve their moment in the sun to 3. Something about this year's Hall of Fame induction didn't sit well with me. And gentlemen, before we move on to talk about the 2-night extravaganza that is WrestleMania, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about this. Haas, Arsene, whoever wants to jump in here, what were your thoughts about the Hall of Fame ceremony?
Do you mind if I take the lead on this, Hardcore Haas? Because I just have one thing I got to get out of the way with this.
Go for it.
It was too damn long. That's the biggest takeaway. I understand that we need to honor people in the wrestling industry, but when you rewatch that footage, pay attention to the crowd. Everybody was dozing off. All right. They were ready to go to bed. And I do not envy the people who had to work in the morning, specifically the NXT people, because, oh my God, that was absurd. Because I got a lot more to talk about too. The other major thing, did anybody else feel like Michelle McCool's induction took forever compared to everybody else's, or was that just me?
You know, Arsene, I'm going to look at this right now from a perspective of, simply put, I was okay with it. I mean, it was one of those that kind of grew on me. I mean, well, that's your opinion. I mean, I think that Michelle McCool, I mean, she had done a good deal for the women's division, but if you're going that route, I mean, the biggest one was Triple H, and I think he very much kept it going. I mean, it is one of those things too to look at. You did have a full episode of SmackDown before the Hall of Fame, so I mean, again, it was a full night. But at this point in time, people know over the years that WrestleMania weekend is a big to do. I mean, if you're not prepared to run on like no sleep for 3 days or 4 days or 5 days or how many ever days it is anymore, I mean, that's one of those that you got to understand that it just comes with the territory. And I'm going to say right now, I don't think it went too long. I really don't. Hardcore Hoss, would you like to interject here as it relates to the Hall of Fame?
You know, honestly, in my opinion, I don't know that it would have been too long if it had been its own ceremony, meaning, you know, take place on its own night and its own thing. But to bring it on right after SmackDown, I think you were asking a little much of the fans. To sit there through SmackDown, sit there through the whole Hall of Fame induction, and then, you know, after parties, and then you want them to come back for the next night of WrestleMania, and then the night after that. And I think it was a bit much. I mean, it's a unique thing, and I'm sure, I mean, it's something I've never got to experience, but I'm sure it really is something to experience. But I think to have SmackDown and then the Hall of Fame induction, I think it was a bit much. But, you know, honestly, I believe that the Hall of Fame I believe there actually was a lot of it that was lacking this year. And I just,
let's hear this.
I wasn't
then.
impressed.
What do you think was lacking?
Well, you know,
I agree in certain areas, but I don't know if it's the same that I agree with. So what do you think was lacking this year, Hawes?
You know, like Luke said, I don't think we need matches in the Hall of Fame.
Well, isn't it? It's not even a match, isn't it? Doesn't it say moments?
Yeah, however you want to call it.
Which is like, that's not a moment. That's a match. Like, they should have said the double turn. Then I would have been like, okay, that makes sense. But it's like, they really just had to be like, yeah, Austin and Hitman, like this match.
Well, you know something, Arsene? I'm going to look at it this way. If you're looking at it from the perspective of a WrestleMania match, I mean, even in itself, and again, I don't mean any disrespect to both Hall of Famers, but there are probably a half a dozen professional wrestling matches that need to be there before that. I mean, again, you go with the classics. You go with to me, probably one of the greatest matches. I'd say probably number 2 in the history of WrestleMania. That being, of course, Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And you got that. You have The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, which, I mean, a lot of people will disagree with me.
I won't.
But
I'll go more into this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, if it comes down to it, I mean, a lot of the classic wrestling fans are going to say Savage, Steamboat. A lot of contemporary fans are going to say Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. But the fact is, to me, either one of those, if you're going to talk about a WrestleMania moment, even talk about Hogan and Warrior from WrestleMania 6, Hogan and Andre from WrestleMania 3, the main event from WrestleMania 1, the tournament at WrestleMania 4. I mean, there are countless things that you could put in there. But
Hulk Hogan winning the belt in WrestleMania 9.
I wasn't going to go there, but that's okay. But when it comes down to
moment, it didn't say good moments.
What about the Iron Man match?
That's my personal favorite, honestly.
Susie says Undertaker Foley.
That's
square up at Mania.
Well, what about the idea? I mean, if you're going to throw other moments out there, well, what about Shane versus Vince?
I would prefer Hogan versus Vince. That one's better.
Yeah.
Only because seeing both of them getting battered is the best thing ever for me personally.
Another one to look at there too. Why not look at some timeless classics like the Gimmick Battle Royal. Why don't we look at the idea of, let's see here.
Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle, or Jericho versus Michaels, or Michaels versus Ric Flair, or John Cena versus Michaels. I can name a bunch of these. Michaels should be there before a lot of these, I'll be honest. This man is way too good at making Mania happen.
But again, I will defend, though, in the idea that Brett being the first 3-time Hall of Famer.
They're catching you on
see
your
that.
own now.
I tell you
see
what.
it.
Why don't we bring in someone else here and get their opinion? You know,
we have to get the intro right though. So if one of you guys would like to do the introduction, I want to just kind of cue this up real quick.
Hardcore Hoss, I'm letting this to you, man. I'm still recovering.
All right.
Yeah.
Jeremy Carr.
Okay, so that's how we're gonna do this. Okay.
Jeremy, I'm going to say right now before we get started, I'm going to tell you right now, from one St. Louis broadcaster to another, I 100% had absolutely nothing to do with that. That was all completely outside of the confines of this conversation of the Wrestle Talk podcast. I just want to specify that now.
Okay, well, I want to specify that as much as I love you and despise that jacket, I can believe it was somebody else's idea. So it's okay.
You're too kind.
Yeah, exactly. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Doing good. So
Doing good? All right, I'm going to tell you something about this whole Hall of Fame thing. I absolutely agree with Arsene because
thank you.
It was too long. It's too long. And to Luke's point, you're having it right after SmackDown. So you're talking, oh my gosh. So I'm trying to think of how many hours on end. It's a 3-hour SmackDown. Then you add a 4 or 5 hour Hall of Fame ceremony. You're talking 8 hours right there. Of course people are going to be caught sleeping.
And then again, like I said, what was it? NXT was in the morning after that, wasn't it?
Yeah, NXT was in the morning, and then now I want to talk. This is one thing I've talked to Luke about this. We talked about this 3 weeks ago, actually, about the legacy, the legacy wing, and the match. The whole thing about the matches being the immortal moments, if you will. And I, to your point I said, even if I don't have so much a problem with matches being inducted as moments, there are way more matches that should be in the Hall of Fame before Stone Cold and Bret Hart at WrestleMania. And that's not taken away from that match. I'm not saying, and it's not. Personally, as terrible as the match was, I would put in Hogan Andre at WrestleMania 3 before Austin and Bret Hart. Because, yes, Hogan and Andre at WrestleMania 3 was a terrible match. If you want to talk about for wrestling, it was an awful match. But
thank you. I was going to say, that's why I said if it was moments, it's a different story.
Right.
If it's matches, get it out of there.
Yeah. But if we're talking about immortality of matches, but the match itself is defined by the few moments. The body slam, the stare down, the leg drop, everything. It was the pinnacle of the biggest WrestleMania at that time, and for a long time, the biggest WrestleMania. So then I go to the legacy wing. First off, I don't mind that there were only 3 inductees because I don't like the idea of the legacy wing because it seems just like a throwaway. I think it's just an excuse for WWE to say, hey, we have these guys in the Hall of Fame. as opposed to actually giving them their due credits. I mean, I think we all remember what happened with Bruiser Brody and how they weren't even told about him being inducted until the night of. No invite, no video package. They don't even do video packages for these guys and women, obviously, trailblazers. So it's like, what is the point? And I look at Kamala, for example, being a legacy inductee. If you were going to induct Kamala, you should have inducted him while he was alive. Because it ain't like he died 30 years ago. Okay? Let's put that... Another thing about this whole legacy week is the fact that these are supposed to be wrestlers and broadcasters and pioneers who died, a long time ago, especially in the golden age. Yeah, Kamala died in 2020. So
that's so much closer than any of the others. It's like just a reminder, the others are Dory Funk Sr. and Ivan Koloff, which are like those are legacy wrestlers if there ever were.
So let's put this true. All right. Dory Funk Senior. All right, so I said Kamala died in 2020. Yeah, Dory Funk Sr. died in 1973. A little bit of a difference here, and you think that may not matter, but it does because it defeats the point of what the legacy wing is. Also, I don't like it always breaks my heart with posthumous inductees. I'm sorry, just the whole concept of it breaks my heart. I was pissed when Vader was inducted after he died, and it seemed like he only got inducted because he did die. So, in their way of saying, "Oh, sorry, we messed up."
Preach.
No.
Please go off about this, because this is something that I love when they do Lifetime Achievement Awards after the lifetime is over. Like, I could go off about this in a whole other section.
Exactly. And this all ties into WWE because they went a while without even adding anybody else. So they do the first few years of the legacy wing and they induct like 30 people. And nobody knows about any of them. Nobody's told about any of them. Just a little quick thing here and there. And up until that point, up until this year, only 2 of them were inducted while they were alive. And one of them recently passed away. And he was the former president of the WWF before Jack Tunney became the president in 1984. So now there's just one living member of the legacy wing. And it's like, I feel like there's 60 people in there. And now we're going into this whole thing of the moments. So now you got your standard men, female, tag team inductees. Once again, also, I want to say this. I want to go back to an earlier comment from David. David had said, it is nice seeing the natural disasters get inducted. Once again, another one that should have happened while Earthquake was alive. Like, it's just infuriating to me. In fact, I'm going to be honest. Quick side note. I know I'm going off, and I know I'm taking away time from you guys.
It's a 2-hour show.
But I feel like, I was going to say, and I'm not going to be able to be on for too much long. So I wanted to say, I feel like the only reason they even inducted the natural disasters is because of the Dark Side of the Ring episode. That's how I look at it.
You're muted, Skywalker.
Okay, I had to get my mindset right here. I want to throw this one at you.
Okay.
And this is going to kind of give it an avenue for a lot of people here on the program. You talk about the Hall of Fame, you talk about the Legacy Wing and how that gets you fired up and this, that, and the whatnot. But to me, I want to throw this question out here. If you look at the in attendance inductees, you have Lex Luger, you have Michelle McCool, you have the Natural Disasters, you have Triple H. Here's my question. Okay. Would many people consider this WrestleMania to be not necessarily based on merit? And again, this is not me. This is what I've seen a lot of people try to say. Do you take it away from merit, or is it the idea of people who are in high places that people know that got inducted this year?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, in my opinion, because
definitely a little bit of both.
Because just to throw this out there, it's like Michelle McCool is the Undertaker's wife, right? So that's one. And then you want to talk about knowing people in high places. One of the inductees is the highest person in the highest place. So he can do whatever he wants. It takes out however fucking long he needs to on that stage for his induction.
Okay.
And then I feel like a lot of the other ones are just like, and no disrespect, I think the merit is absolutely in Lex Luger's favor. I think he absolutely deserved his spot, especially after recovering the way that he did. Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where I'm like, I think they gave it to him because he cleaned up, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in like, hey, like he's on his way up. Let's give him his dues. And then in the case of the natural disasters, it was kind of like, for me personally, I thought it was like finally, like what took them so long? Like, I feel like as tag teams go, that's a pretty influential one, especially in terms of like Haas wrestlers, you know?
You know, I want to say, yeah, okay. I want to. Ooh, Susie brought up an interesting thing. Okay. The whole thing with Lex Luger, I guarantee if he hadn't cleaned up, if he hadn't admitted to all his screw ups and everything and worked his ass off to become better, both mentally and physically, there is no way he would have been in the Hall of Fame ever. Even after he died. And I think his induction was my favorite because of the pinnacle of it all. Look, you could say Triple H is the favorite because obviously Triple H was the main event one, and I grew up watching Triple H, like, obviously. But Lex Luger is in a wheelchair. And for him to be able to have worked so hard to stand up to do his induction and have his best friend induct him, you know, and also it not being a 5-hour speech, you know, it was special to me. I really enjoyed that. As far as Michelle McCool, look, I freaking put Gail Kim and Victoria in the WWE Hall of Fame before Michelle McCool. That's what they should have done.
And can I just ask, because do you guys, any of you know this? Are Lita and Trish Stratus in the Hall of Fame yet? I feel like I'm stupid for asking this. They are?
They're in the Hall of Fame. They're both in the Hall of Fame.
Those felt like no-brainers, and I'm like, okay, they better.
But here's the thing. You got Lita and Trish Stratus, two of the greatest, most iconic female wrestlers of all time. You got Mae Young and the Fabulous Moolah. Say all you want about the Fabulous Moolah as, you know, being a terrible person when she was, you know, iconic wrestler. You know who else in the Hall of Fame? The Bella Twins. Like, I'm sorry, but, you know, there is a big discrepancy here.
Fuck you, bullshit!
Deal.
Fuck you, bullshit!
One for each Bella Twin.
Yeah, one for each Bella Twin is the perfect way to do it. No, it is it's infuriating me, and it shouldn't, because, you know, it's not even technically a real Hall of Fame because, you know, they still haven't officially made the building yet. But okay, and yeah, all right. But I want to go back to Susie's question. The question point here. Lex Luger was said to have caused or be involved in Miss Elizabeth's death. So why not Benoit? Okay. There's a difference between being either an accessory or an accomplice. And quick side note to AJ, he's saying about China as well. Triple H made it clear China's going in as an individual. He said that at the WrestleMania press conference after night 2. It's just, it doesn't know when yet. But he has made it pretty much 100% clear that one day China will be inducted as an individual. But to go back to Susie's thing, Benoit straight up murdered his wife and son and then himself. I'm sorry. That right there is going to prevent him from ever getting in that Hall of Fame. It almost got him kicked out of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame. And the thing with Lex Luger and Miss Elizabeth, they were having extramarital affairs. And I played with the whole drug usage and everything. He made it clear that he played a role in the sense of, her death, but not directly causing it. There's a difference between indirectly causing a death and literally straight up murdering someone. And that's the line we are at right now when it comes to the whole Benoit thing. And yeah, I know there's conspiracy theories. People still say Kevin Sullivan killed the Benoit family. I
was about to mention that. I'm like, are we still keeping that alive in 2025?
Are we still going on about that? Well, guess what?
Right.
Kevin Sullivan's just as dead as they are, so it doesn't matter.
I always, sorry to cut you off, Maestro.
You're good.
Kind of put a punctuation on this, but I think Paul Heyman said it best, which was that it was that you can't deny his ability, but only one person made a choice that night, and that was Benoit. And in my opinion, I think the Dark Side of the Ring hit the nail on the head that I don't think he should go in the Hall of Fame, but I think Nancy should. I think honoring somebody like her who, had her involvement in the wrestling business, but also, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm being a little too optimistic. Maybe they just don't want anybody with the last name Benoit, period. But
I don't have this is my thing.
Gentlemen, this is that would be a whole nother show that we could go into, about the conspiracy theories.
That'd be a fun one. But yeah, let's do WrestleMania. I'm hyped.
Yeah, let's get back to the WrestleMania itself here.
Well, gentlemen, before I go too much farther along, when you talk about Hall of Fames, you talk about that, and no, I'm not using this as a plug for me. I do want to give a special shout out to our good friends over at the Cauliflower Alley Club. I know that they are going to be having their annual reunion in August. I'm just making sure I've got the correct date here. It'll be August 18th through the 20th at the Plaza Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. I was just looking here today. I mean, they're going to have the Bushwhackers receiving the tag team award. They're going to have our good friend, longtime friend of mine personally, Herb Simmons, just being announced earlier this morning to receive the Carl Lauer Independent Promoter Award. Another great accolade for Herb Simmons' legendary career, fellow Hall of Famer in the St. Louis Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame. But they're also going to have, in addition to that, they're also going to have Mick Foley. Not only is going to be receiving the Iron Mike Mazurki Award, but they're also going to have the first ever Cauliflower Alley Legends Roast, which is going to be on the first night of the event, which is going to be a roast of Mick Foley, of all people. Again, just wanted to give a shout out there. When you talk about WrestleMania weekend, you talk about all the things that are going on. Again, just wanted to give a shout out to the CAC with their upcoming event as well. Now, gentlemen, let's go ahead and move on to WrestleMania. And I'm going to tell you right now, from the very beginning, night one, match one, Jey Uso and Gunther, I'm going to tell you right now, to me, was it a little bit easy to understand? Yeah, I'm going to use it simple, and I want to use it very similar to what Shawn Michaels did when he was talking about the late Kerry Von Erich defeating Ric Flair. The biggest surprise was he won it with a backslide. I think, to me, the biggest thing in this Jey Uso versus Gunther match showed how tough Jey Uso is, but he won it with a sleeper hold. I got to tell you right now, new world heavyweight champion, that being the only main event, Jey Uso. I'm going to tell you right now, from the very beginning, yes, I give it 2 thumbs up. I give it, and I'm going to tell you right now, going on the super kick scale, which I can talk, I'm going to give it a solid 3.5 super kicks.
Don't stroke out on me now, Luke. I'm going to...
You wanted to go next, Maestro?
I'll go next. I appreciate it. So,
What are your thoughts on this match? Were you for the yeet or no?
I was for the yeet. I was going for the yeet on this. Now, I kind of got my daughter doing this now too with the yeet. We did that last night when he came out on Monday Night Raw. I want to say in regards to, I love Luke's point on this. You talk about how you win with a move you don't really see people winning with these days. You know, I thought Jey Uso was going to do 4 splashes and then one big super kick and then some, and then win. That's the sequence it was setting up to be. At first, I did not like how it ended. I did not like that a sleeper was what ended it. But then I realized, and I really think about it from a wrestling perspective here. You just got splashed 3 times. You got the win taken out of you. Once was on the back, so then you're put in the sleeper hold. So, of course, if you're Gunther, it's not that, it make you look weak. Kind of just makes you look like, okay, well, I'm getting out of this while I can to protect myself. And he feels confident that he's going to get the title again. I'm going to say this. The only way they'll truly damage Gunther at this point is if they have a good match at Backlash. He needs to absolutely demolish Pat McAfee. I will say the match itself, give it a solid 3 super kicks. I mean, to me, it's a hard match. It's hard to start off WrestleMania. To be the opener at the most hyped up show in wrestling, it's a lot of pressure. And for Jey Uso to do what he did and pull it off, I look, it's never going to be a match of the year candidate. Doesn't have to be. It was solid enough. That's all.
All right, Haas, you're stewing in the corner there. I feel you got a lot to say about this match. You want to go next?
Honestly, in my opinion, it absolutely disappointed me that they had Gunther lose by submission. If you're going to have him lose that way, make him pass out, not tap. Gunther has been this strong competitor. He has been going, and nobody's been able to really phase him. And now all of a sudden he taps out to a sleeper hold. That to me is just, it just blows my mind that they would have it that way. I mean, I did not see Gunther tapping out. If he was going to, if he was going to win that way, I looked for him to pass out, not tap out. It's just, it made no sense to me for him to tap out.
Just gonna put that there because now I have to speak my piece, Haas. All right. And trust me when I say I told Luke before we were going to start the show that I'm going to be the biggest apologist for this WrestleMania because we got a lot of people who are hating on this shit, and I'm ready to unload. Okay, so for starters, we're going to go solo layout here. For starters, for all of you out there that wanted to say, "Oh, but Jay won the Royal Rumble. Why isn't he in the main event?" That never mattered ever. Okay. That never mattered ever. That has been established since WrestleMania 9 that you don't get the main event from the Royal Rumble. You get a title shot, but Lex Luger never got it. Shawn Michaels never got it. You can look down the list of people, okay? Especially now with 4 Royal Rumbles, with 2 nights of WrestleMania, we're going to have 4. Thank you. Okay. Now, I'm going to pull this back real quick. But more to my point, Haas, while I can completely understand if you yourself don't appreciate the fact that it ended with a chokehold and that Gunther tapped out because you think it makes him look weaker, I can understand your train of logic. However, this is my only defense against that. The build of this match, specifically the part that got everybody invested, was the choking out of Jimmy and the blood dripping down. And everything. It was the sleeper. So to not only have Jay win the match via that move, but have him tap out with the very move that he used on his brother is poetic. And I just want to throw this out there only because he's already lost to Sami Zayn. And the thing is people want to talk about realism in wrestling, but we all know that Sami's like half this dude's size, and he lost to him already. But Gunther has already tapped out before. And ironically enough, he tapped out to a sleeper. So if anything, it is consistent that this man's kryptonite is a sleeper hold. And for those who don't know, rewatch it. It's easily one of my favorite matches. It's Ilya Dragunov versus Gunther while he was still going by Walter in NXT. I'm trying to remember which one it was. It was their last pay-per-view they did before they switched to NXT 2.0. But for me, I personally think it was the most emphatic way to end it. And for everybody who says that, oh, it should have gone on last, I don't think so. I think being the curtain jerker, so to speak, is not a bad thing in wrestling, especially for something like Mania, because the beginning of the night is when everybody has the most energy.
But you know, we have somebody sitting backstage that has been sitting there for a little bit that I know has plenty to say on the subject and plenty to say about WrestleMania. So let's go ahead and bring him in. He is the owner of WDWA Wrestling. He is also going to be my co-host on Elevation, the one and only Gavin Jackson, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Gavin?
All right, I'll take mute off. How's everybody doing?
Awesome, Gavin. Nice to have you on the show tonight.
I appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, so I'm sitting back. I'm listening to everybody's thoughts and stuff. I got a couple thoughts on Gunther versus Uso. So this is really hard because like I'm a booker, so I see things a little bit differently on how I would do things differently. For one, Gunther attacked his brother, made his brother bleed. He attacked him. He did all this stuff that if somebody did that to you in real life, you wouldn't want to wrestle them. You would want to beat the shit out of them. That being said, the match didn't start as a fight. It started as a wrestling match, and it takes away a little bit of the realism that I wanted that match to be. I really wanted that match to be back and forth, guys throwing fists, real hard hitting, make it look as shoot as possible. I'm okay with the finish, except for he shouldn't have tapped out so quick. He should have sold the sleeper a little bit longer. Because I think his heavyweight title run was too good to give up that quickly, and I don't think it told a good story to have a quick tap out. But besides that, I thought everything in between those two things, between the beginning and end, I thought went pretty well. So those are my thoughts.
That is a fair criticism, and I will give you that.
Most definitely. And again, as we talk about here, Jey Uso versus Gunther, I mean, again, I don't think anybody would discredit the story behind it. All of the components that many people would consider to be a classic professional wrestling match, that good guy versus bad guy mentality, it was there. And I think for what was there, and again, seeing 65,000 people yeeting, that is something definitely that you would have to say is pretty cool. Thank you, Arsene. Now, I'm going to go ahead here real quick, and then I'm going to step aside here for just a minute because of the fact that it's going to be a busy night here on the program, and I know we're trying to get some more guests lined up here as we speak. And I know Hardcore Haas is getting some stuff taken care of as well. Gentlemen, I'm going to tell you right now, if there was a match that I don't want to say this because I really enjoy all parties involved. Something about the New Day and the War Raiders just made me want to take a nap. I don't know what it was. Do I love the New Day? Yes. Do I love them since they've gotten this newfound attitude? Yes. Do I like the War Raiders smash mouth wrestling style? Yeah, I do. Even back from their days in ROH. But just something about this match just did not sit with me. And it really kind of carries on to today and watching Raw last night. I just could not get into this match. And I'm just going to level with the viewers here of the Wrestle Talk podcast. To me, the match that followed it was the same way with Jade Cargill and Naomi. I got to a point of where I had probably 20 minutes where I felt like I could have turned on Raw or SmackDown and gotten these same matches. Gentlemen, I'm just going to throw this out there to you. New Day versus the War Raiders, and again, another championship title change, and Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Both of these, I mean, you've heard my opinion. Gentlemen, anybody who wants to step in here, please do, because, I mean, again, I don't want to be the voice of the Wrestle Talk podcast on this, but just something didn't click for me as a wrestling fan.
It didn't sit well with. I was not invested in the match. I'm sorry. Like, I think the New Day is great. I think the War Raiders are great as far as just being tag teams. I mean, we already know the New Day and how great they are historically and everything, but I also don't think this heel run is clicking right with me. It just seems very bland. Like, it just generic and bland and forced and contrived. And I didn't like the match. So, no. It probably gets like a 1 out of me. Like, out of this first super kick. Maybe 1.5.
Jeremy, I'm just going to throw it this way. The New Day as bad guys, yes, I'm really enjoying it. However, match overall, to me, I think I'm going to be generous here and say probably 2 super kicks, and that's being generous. Gentlemen?
Yeah, I have to.
I was gonna say, what do you think, Gavin?
I was gonna say I agree. I agree. Both of these teams are fantastic. Both of them have had matches that could easily be 8, 9s, or even 10s. They have all the credentials to knock this out the park. I would love to know if they had their time cut or anything like that, because I believe they were just underutilized and not a good spot on the card. I think they rushed the story they were trying to tell, and it left all emotion out of it. That's kind of where I was coming from with it. I do dig the New Day's heel turn. I kind of like it. I like it because they give them a lot of mic time, which helps create stories, and it's a lot more interesting than them dancing around and stuff like that. Like, eventually you got to change, or else you just get lost in the fold. So it's something new. So I like that. But yeah, I would say what they did was great. The story was bad. So I'd give it about a 3.5.
I think a 3.5 is being generous.
Yeah.
Very generous, in my opinion.
Well, I hope you don't mind me taking over, Haas. For me, I'm kind of building off of what Luke said. It's like, especially for me, because I knew, I see they've had so many names in the WWE. I just knew them for their names on the independents, the War Machine. I knew them when they were in the indies, your WCPWs, your New Japan, your Ring of Honors. These dudes were monsters. And I know the New Day, and it's one of those things where you look at it on paper, you look at it like for what it is before you actually watch the match. The New Day versus the War Raiders for the WWE Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania, their record-breaking, 13th Tag Team Championship? I forget. I'm not equipped to talk about this. You think about it, and then you see the actual match, and it's like, again, it's like what Luke said. It just kind of feels like an episode I would have seen on Monday Night Raw. Like, yeah, the titles changed. Yeah, they were playing it, but I don't know if they were playing it to their best strength, especially because the New Day have basically started as heels. They know what to do. it's less about playing to the crowd and more about how do we get as much heat as doing as much to hurt the opponents as possible. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did cut their time. That's my whole thing about it. It really seemed like they just kind of had like, okay, we were going to have 20 minutes to do this. Now you got 10. And it's like, great. Okay, we'll try to tell a story.
Yeah.
And then for me personally, with the right amount of buildup, I really hope they can bounce back with this. I hope that, both of the War Raiders aren't hurt or anything like that, that we can continue this feud to really establish them, because at some point I want them to do a War Raiders match. And the rules are, there are no rules. It's like, if we can just get that one time in WWE, especially if it gets to be with the New Day or even just all the tag teams, I would be perfectly content. Like, it'd be even more of a car crash than a TLC match. And I think I want to see that. But yeah, no, I'm kind of in the boat that I think it's just a 1.5. Like, and that half is just because I think they had some story going into it, but they didn't capitalize on it. So yeah, I wanted more. I'll be honest. It just felt, if Big E came out, it might've gotten me a 2 stars, but it didn't. So that whole neck injury thing didn't really go anywhere other than exactly. It's just that. But what are your thoughts, Oz?
I was honestly kind of disappointed in the match because, it really did seem like a rushed match. And I felt like there's just so much more they could have done, a lot of the time. But I really do enjoy the heel New Day. I mean, yes, they've been heel before. I mean, just like John Cena's been heel before. He was heel when he first came out, and but I'm still enjoying this heel version of John Cena. So I do enjoy the heel New Day. I think it's about time that they played the heel side of things again and just kind of refreshed themselves, because I think what they were doing was getting stale. But I think if they had been given more time and just done more with the match, it would have been a 5-star match, 5 super kick match. But I really think that, they only got like 2.5 super kicks, really. It just felt too rushed to me.
Hold on, let me jump in there real quick. I gave a 3 out of 10, but if you guys are going 1 to 5, then I'm definitely giving them 1.
Okay, see, that's why me and Jeremy were confused. I was like, 3 stars, dude. You're being generous. See, because for me personally, I do 4 stars, because to me a half star should matter. But everybody else does 5 stars, which is fine. But like, if it's 1 out of 10, yeah, if it's, I'm in the same boat as you. If it's 1 to 10. All right. So we've definitely spoken our piece on this. I just like to take the opportunity. Luke had some business he had to take care of. We're hoping to reintroduce him for a minute. But as we're jumping into this next match, I think we have some people that have been waiting in the wings long enough that would like an opportunity to speak on Mania. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce first the Wrestle Talk Podcast's very own Nightmare Jones.
Hey! What's up? What's up, boss? How's it going, boss?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm going good.
I wasn't sure which boss you were talking to, him or me.
I mean,
boss.
technically both. I mean, yes.
And turn your camera there, Joey.
Yeah, we gotta.
Is that better?
No, turn it sideways. Landscape.
There
we go.
Yeah.
Now
Is that better for you?
That's it.
Good. So how is everybody?
We're doing great, man. And we got a lot more to talk about when it comes to Mania. So I'm glad we got it.
Absolutely.
We're getting up there. We haven't had this many people in a while, right? Like it's usually for these big events. It's like the recaps or like what was the last one we had where we had like 8 people?
Yeah.
Well, and the surprises aren't even done yet, but we've got more coming.
There you go.
What? I was gonna say, did we want to leave some of them in right now, just only because we've been doing this for a little bit?
Let's hold on for a moment. Yeah, because I know that there's a big announcement coming when we bring one of them in or 2 of them in. Okay. So let's hold on just for a second.
we've already got Nightmare Jones in, so why don't we jump into our next match? So we've covered Jey Uso versus Gunther. We've gotten the tag match out of the way. I believe Skywalker had mentioned Cargill versus Naomi. Did anybody have their piece on this that they wanted to go, or did we want to jump into something a little more?
I felt that it was a good match. I felt that it could have been a little bit better, but for what it was, I felt that it was a pretty good match. I would give it 3 out of 5 super kicks.
All right, Jeremy, what's your thoughts on the match? Because I know you are a little pressed for time here. So what's your thoughts on it?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, I'm.
That should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, I don't know about this one, fam. You know, I'm looking at how I felt for the first 2 matches of the night. And, I go into, because we are doing Jade Cargill and Naomi, right?
Yeah.
Do we have to? No. Look, I hate saying this because, first off, you heard what I said already regarding the New Day and War Raiders match. Now, keep in mind, the Jade Naomi match went longer.
Mm-hmm.
It went nearly 10 minutes. And I'm sorry, but there was just a lot of sloppy spots. There was a lot of wardrobe malfunctions. There was just a lot of standing around. I'm giving this okay, if I'm doing an out of 5 type thing like Uncle Dave does, yeah, I'm going probably 1 on this because it's just bad. And honestly, look, I'm going to stick around for the US title match too when we get to that, and that'll be it. But yes, I'm giving this a 1. Bad match.
Wow. 1.
Yeah, I'd have to say, so if I gave a 1 out of 5 to the tag match, I'd definitely put this about a half.
Wow.
I think Jade Cargill looks like $1 million, but unfortunately she just has not been able to pick up how to be a wrestler, which sucks because very marketable look. But she just can't hang. She can't hang with the big dogs. Like, she really should go back maybe on the indies or somewhere just to learn how to wrestle a little bit more, go to Performance Center. And if she can't do it, she needs to pick a different career path.
She should come to WDWA.
There you go. But Naomi, I'm digging the heel turn. I think it's great. I think she's good at it. I think she's very talented. I think she's very athletic. I'm definitely looking forward to see what they do with this. But if we're just talking about WrestleMania, very disappointed in the match. I don't think it did Naomi any favors putting over Jade Cargill. I wouldn't put my money on her.
Gabe?
Okay. I was going to say, I didn't know if you wanted to go next. This is such a hard thing for me to comment on because I am one of the biggest Jade supporters. But that's the thing, is that as a supporter, I have to be brutally honest when shit gets south. It's like, I love you. And because I love you, I have to tell you, you got to step it up. It's like, because I want her to know that it comes from a place of, I want you to do as best as you can. Because it's one of those things where thankfully they've, they've done an effective job of covering her weak spots.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things where her weak spots are really obvious to see.
Yeah.
So it's like the tag match was a good way to cover it. And then, pairing her up with Naomi, who I think is a solid worker and who can, have an opportunity to help somebody like Jade walk her through a match is fine. I think the end goal with Jade should be, yes, I think they should either bump her down to NXT and really have her kind of learn something.
NXT would be a good one.
or if they're going to keep her on the main roster, really, really make her time count, but please keep her out of the main event picture.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not that I don't think she can't draw. It's that because as soon as the matches need to start getting longer, that's when it's going to fall apart. We're going to very much get a Ronda situation, and I don't think we want a Ronda situation ever again.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, man. You hit the nail on the head with that.
So for me, just to be as nice as possible, I want to say 1.5 stars, only because and that was a very begrudging half star.
I definitely
the brainbuster spot was lit. I thought that was cool. Her strength is insane, but
yeah.
$1 million.
I definitely agree. And if you watched SmackDown last week, looks like she's maybe going after the world title, and I really hope that that's not the case.
You know, in my opinion, and if Jade Cargill, when she came into WWE, if she was main roster material and deserved to go all the way to main roster right off the bat, then why the hell is Jordan Grace in NXT? Because she's a hell of a lot better than Jade. You know, that makes absolutely no sense to me.
I agree.
I don't think that Jade belongs on the main roster. I never thought she should have went straight to the main roster. So, yeah, I give the match just one super kick, you know.
Wow.
Gentlemen, I'm going to put a pretty little bow on this. And the only reason why I'm able to put a bow on this is because of the idea of Naomi. Otherwise, I would be putting Botchamania numbers on this. -4 super kicks.
Wow, -4.
Because I got to tell you this, Naomi made this match. I mean, as one of the things I've said before, when it comes to a referee, a good referee can make a good match into a great match. A bad referee can take the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and push it down the toilet. I'm going to tell you right now, there really was nothing in this match that drew me in. I get what they tried to do. Nothing drew me in. I couldn't get, and I'll tell you right now, we're going to talk about it a little later on. We talk about the Women's Tag Team Championship. That in one night had more interest than this whole storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I will come to that match when we come to it because I got a lot to say about that shit. But
most definitely.
I was going to say, I think I want to keep in the direction you're going, Luke, because I know we have a couple more people that we need to bring on here for a moment. And I think there's one person that I think is leaning in the same position you are when it comes to this match or Mania as a whole. But I don't know if you want to do the introductions here since I did the last one.
Well, right now, before we get too far along here, I want to go ahead and move on to the next match. And to me, honestly, if this could have been the second match, I would have been a much happier camper. And that is the United States Championship matchup between Jacob Fatu, the Samoan Werewolf, taking on L.A. Knight, the megastar. And I'm going to tell you right now, to me, being in wrestling as long as I have, I'm going to say right now, yes, yes, yes. This had an opportunity. It kept L.A. Knight strong as a good, solid hand in the ring, very much in the middle of that mid-card picture. You didn't hurt L.A. Knight with a loss here from Jacob Fatu. He's pretty much a buzzsaw, and he's one of those that you could see as the future of a lot of different avenues in the WWE. This was a true breakout moment for Jacob Fatu. This was, as they say, the WrestleMania moment, the first of many for Jacob Fatu. And where I was -4 super kicks in the last match, I'm going +4 super kicks here.
All right. Maestro?
I was going to say,
All right.
to Jeremy, since you got to leave soon.
Yep. To close it out, gentlemen, first off, I want to say it's been a blessing being here. I want to say Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight was fun from beginning to end. It was, to me, one of I'm telling you, next year he is going to be either a Royal Rumble winner, a Money in the Bank winner, a main eventer, a world champion. He's going to be, next year is the big breakout year for Jacob Fatu. He's already been doing great so far this year. But I'm telling you right now, I'm giving it 4.25 super kicks out of 5. I thought, and I thought they carried each other well. They bounced off each other great. Bear with me 1 second, gentlemen. Oh, my little daughter just came in. Here. If you gentlemen don't mind for just 10 seconds. Oh, she was watching as well. She was watching WrestleMania. So I definitely want to say, well, you think Fatu and LA Knight had a good match? Yeah, they had a pretty good match. So 4.25 super kicks from over here at Maestro Manor. And so, gentlemen, thank you so much for having me on. I look forward to when I get to host with you again, Luke. And until then, I'll talk to you guys later, okay?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the maestro Jeremy Karp, the man behind Interstate 70 Sports Media and the home of Roundabout Sports, each and every Wednesday evening here on all your great social media outlets. Now, gentlemen, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of people who have been waiting patiently, and I know there's a couple of big people here. I'm going to tell you right now, I know there's one that's backstage, and Hardcore Hoss, you know, because he's been a part of the Wrestle Talk podcast many a time. Not only do I consider him to be a broadcast colleague, I've had the opportunity to compete with this man across the ring. Back in the day, he was a beast. Now he is just as much of a beast. And I'm going to say this right now, and I know it's going to make him feel all warm and fuzzy. But I'm going to tell you right now, a man who reminds me, even today, reminds me a lot of Jacob Fatu in the raw animalism, the determination, the power, the athleticism. A man who has a lot of those same attributes. I'm going to go ahead and tag out to one of my closest friends in the professional wrestling industry here for just a few minutes, because Hardcore Hoss, you know, we've been kind of in and out all evening because we got some big things happening here tonight as a part of the WrestleMania Rewind. But I'm going to go ahead, as they say, and give the tag to my brother, my friend, my colleague, and one of my best friends in the wrestling industry, the one, the only. Welcome back to the Wrestle Talk Podcast, the one, the only Justin Wade here to the Wrestle Talk Podcast this evening.
Hello, everybody.
And Iceman, I'm going to tell you right now,
Iceman.
and again, I know you heard the intro. I'm going to tell you right now, you and the style that you always brought to the ring and the style of a Jacob Fatu mesh very well. I know you had an opportunity to watch this. I know you and I had an opportunity to talk about this match. I want to go ahead from one, I dare say, retired in-ring competitor to a man who's still got a few more matches under his belt still to go. I got to ask you right now, what were your thoughts of LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu?
Real quick, is the audio pretty good? Can you guys hear me pretty well?
We are good,
Okay.
my friend.
All right. So you guys have been pretty the language on the show. Can I spew some cussing on the show?
You sure can.
Okay.
Of course.
Most
Okay.
definitely,
record
friend.
So you guys have been way too fucking kind to these matches. I've been listening in. I've been watching. This is right now is the second go around for me. I'm on a speed run of Mania right now, and you guys have been scoring these matches way too kindly. I'd give the
Wait a minute. Way too kindly when I gave it a
minute.
negative 4.5 super kicks?
Well, okay, all right. Besides your -4, I can't, math in me is like, me trying to fit into skinny jeans back in the day. So, anyways, Jacob Fatu and LA Knight, I feel bad for Knight. He was the sacrificial lamb to this match. You put anyone in there, Jacob Fatu's on a rise. You can't. You're not going to have Fatu lose in his debut Mania. With his background on the indie scene and his his tenacity. I just feel bad for Knight. I give the match and my 2.5 stars out of 5. Just because I knew it was going to happen as soon as Fatu became the #1 contender to that U.S. strap. That U.S. strap is just a stepping stone for him. He's going to be going on, like a couple of you guys said, he either's going to win the Rumble, the King of the Ring. He's going to be a top dog, along with Braun Breaker in the next year or so, I believe. And goddamn, what type of match is that going to be if they have Breaker and Fatu
Oh
square off at some
God.
point? So, but besides that, I just feel bad for Knight because I don't think he has any. I don't think he's going to go any further than a mid card strap.
He's
I
not.
really don't, and it just boggles my mind. He was just on such a rocket last year, and everybody was behind him in the crowd and everything. It just feels like that rocket's sputtering now.
I could agree with you there, Wade. I could 100%. Gentlemen, again, we've had two really kind of different opinions here when it comes to this matchup. Anybody else who's here to join to chime in here as we talk about LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, the Megastar, and the Samoan Werewolf as a part of WrestleMania Night 1, gentlemen?
Yeah, I agree a little bit with Wade, especially about LA Knight. I think LA Knight kind of falls in the same category that same thing that happened to Bobby Roode. I always thought Bobby Roode was a great hand in the ring. He came in, great entrance, crowd was hot. They would sing his song, and then he just slowly drifted away. And I think LA Knight's going to do the same thing. As talented as he is, his mic skills are phenomenal. He has a great presence. There's so many people better than him right now that it's hard for him to stand out. And it's a bummer, one thing about nowadays wrestling as opposed to before is people were okay with people being low card and mid card because everybody knew their spots. But now with the internet and everything, everybody thinks everybody deserves a main event spot, like, oh, when is this person going to get their chance for a world title? When is this person going to get their chance for the world title? Oh, they work so hard. It's okay to be a mid-carder. It's okay to be low on the totem pole. It's okay. Look at guys like Greg Valentine, phenomenal worker. He's been high up on the card. He's main evented before, but he was okay with just being mid card. Tito Santana, guys like that, like it's okay. It's not a negative thing. But I think that's where LA Knight is. As for Jacob Fatu, oh my gosh, it's about freaking time that he made it to WWE, and he has such a package. You guys talked about potential Royal Rumble winners. No matter how he gets there, he will be at the top. He has that much charisma. He has that much of a presence. He has everything that I think professional wrestling needs. He's different than everyone else. So yeah, Wade, I agree with you, buddy. I think the match itself may have been about 2.5 stars. Great finish. I thought it was a good finish. Definitely love crowd reaction during this match. But again, two guys that I think could have had a better match. But that's my opinion.
Joe and Toss, did either of you guys want to go, or you mind if I go on?
You can go ahead and go.
Yeah, go ahead, Gabe. Keep going.
All righty. So, as the WrestleMania 41 apologist here, I have plenty to say about this match. In that, I agree with everybody in that it was a very good match, but I think you guys are undercutting the potential for LA Knight. And the only reason I say that is because WWE is very smart about making sure that people lose belts to position them for an opportunity going forward. And while I understand that not everybody is going to be WWE champion, what is nice, World Heavyweight Championship is right there. So there is always potential for people to not be the WWE champion, but the world heavyweight champion. But I think personally, they took that U.S. title off of him, not just to build up Fatu stock, but because what pay-per-view is around the corner? Past Backlash. Somebody should know that.
Yeah, Backlash. They're already showing flyers of a fatal 4-way with Knight, Fatu, McIntyre, and what's his name? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. He just lost to McIntyre at Mania.
Priest?
Priest, yeah, they're already showing flyers for a fatal 4-way. Who's going to be taking the pin? It's going to be Knight. They're not going to have between unless they're really pushing the whole. I'm sorry if I'm going on a tangent. That's my favorite thing to do. But the whole Knight and McIntyre. McIntyre and Priest. They had Priest lose to McIntyre. I know that's going to be later on, but who are they done with pushing Priest to the moon? He had a strong year last year, and now he took an L at Mania. I know not everyone can win at Mania, but it just feels like the reason why I feel like the candle's burning, starting to dwindle on LA Knight is because it seems like in the last handful of months before he got the U.S. strap back, which I think was just to get him to Mania to drop it to Fatu, he took some big losses from some of the members of the new bloodline. I think is that what they're calling themselves? With since Roman's
I think
gone,
they're still the bloodline. It's just that it's different members.
Yeah, but it seems like LA Knight's lost some major battles to McIntyre and some of the boys from the new or the bloodline. It just seems like, I don't know. It just seems like he's put in some major battles, but when it comes down to it, he's the sacrificial lamb to a lot of these guys that are coming up. McIntyre, they're pushing him to the moon again. It just right now, talent is really thick right now and really good in the WWE right now. I don't feel like Knight's going to get that world title run ever. That's just my opinion, though.
And the only thing I have to say, 4 words: Money in the Bank. I think they're positioning this man to be able to have this. To me, when I think about the words LA Knight, Money in the Bank briefcase holder, I can't help but think of Mr. Kennedy's run and what we didn't get because of what happened to the injury. And when I think about how good of a talker LA is to just be sitting back, coasting with the briefcase, saying, oh, I don't got to worry about anything. I can just take my time. That gets me excited. Am I being ambitious? Yes. Does that fix anything in the match itself? No. So just to give my score to get it out of the way, but also just to defend the fact that I don't think this match is as bad as you guys are making it out to be for the sake of LA Knight's career. I'm giving it a 2.5 stars out of 4, but that's just me.
Yeah, he's given 4 out of the score, Roberts. You're on mute.
I know. Like I said, it's one of those. I thought we were going 5 super kicks, but when it comes down to it,
my personal scoring is 4. But that's because that's what stars
you can only count to 4, Roberts.
He could be a referee someday down the road. I mean, after all, he has graduated from the Nightmare Jones School of Officiating, so we won't go here nor there. So, but like I said, gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and move on here for a second. We've got just a minute or so left here before we move on to the next topic. Any final thoughts here? LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu.
Next.
I think I'd have to agree with Jay Wade on this one here. The next one,
as we move on, I know Gavin has to run, so just want to thank him for joining us tonight. I mean, he just came off of when you talk about big shows, he just came off of a big show this weekend from WDWA himself.
Awesome. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you.
As a matter of fact, I need to thank him because I actually got to make my debut at color commentary this weekend at WDWA. So, I had a lot of fun with it. So if you want to see how I did it, be sure to check that out on Frontline. I know those episodes will be forthcoming. And so, Gavin, anything you'd like to throw in? I know you got another big show coming up here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, just to give a quick plug, WDWA will be putting on another show on May 10th at the South Berkeley Fire Hall in Inwood, West Virginia. This show is called Code Red. A lot of big key matches. If anybody follows our product, one of the ones that I know a lot of the fans are looking forward to is Misused versus Zakar Shaw and Clay Jacobs. That's breaking news right there. I haven't made it public yet, but that's something that's real big. Susie, thanks for the birthday shout out for my little man. Definitely let him know that you said it. And then also want to give a quick plug for Elevation next week. WTP and WDWA are teaming up next week for a podcast, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've spent years, working with WTP, doing different, promoting different companies, things like that, all the way back with Joe and Rich, and and it's a pleasure of mine to be able to come on here like this and enjoy what you guys have together here at WTP, but it's even more enjoyable to know that I'll be teaming up with you guys. So can't wait to knock it out of the park, and hopefully both companies grow and we all find success together, and just a pleasure to be a part of the team. Thank you guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Gavin, I want to say thank you. And again, for those that are going to have the opportunity next week, Elevation, WDWA, Wrestle Talk Podcast coming together. Make it a point to check it out. It's going to be a great program. Had an opportunity to talk with some people backstage prior to the show this evening. It's going to be definitely something I'm going to be looking forward to tuning into next week. Even though I'm here in the St. Louis area, WDWA has been on fire. Code Red on Saturday night, March 10th, or no, not March 10th, May 10th, in Inwood, West Virginia. If you're in the area, make it a point to get your tickets, because it's going to be a great event of pro wrestling action. Check it out. Facebook, you can check them out. WDWA Wrestling. Check them out. A lot of great info. Gavin, thank you for joining us here on the WrestleMania Rewind, and we look forward to seeing you next week as a part of WDWA Elevation.
Thanks,
And,
guys.
Let Jackson know that, the whole Wrestle Talk Podcast team wishes him a very happy birthday. I know he is one of our biggest fans, and
yeah, he is.
So, happy birthday to Jackson.
I definitely will. Thank you guys.
Don't let him super kick you this time.
I can't guarantee nothing, man. He just catches me out of nowhere. All right, fellas. Enjoy your night. Thank you.
Talk to you soon, Gavin.
Peace.
All right. Well, gentlemen, we've had a lot of great guests here in the first hour. We got Justin Wade still here on the program. We've had people East Coast, West Coast, and all points in between. You know something, gentlemen? We're going to move on to the next match. And again, this is one a lot of people have really had mixed emotions about. And that being Ray Phoenix, who is literally, from what everybody has said, has pretty much been a last-minute replacement for the injured Rey Mysterio. And I've heard, and I'm actually going to go to my broadcast colleague here, because, again, he's one of those that always tried to keep me on the straight and narrow when it came to being in top condition. The reports I've heard from Rey Mysterio is a torn abductor, and it's looking like he's going to be out for a significant period of time when it comes down to it. But again, Ray Phoenix more than willing to step up. This is something, you got to give the guy props from his main roster, actually WWE debut, to a little less than a month later. He's in a high-profile matchup with everybody's favorite luchador, El Grande Americano. Two men making their debut at WrestleMania. I'm just going to say it this way. I really did enjoy this match. Was it anything that was going to write home with me? No. But was it something that I would turn a channel from? No. I was very happy with it. I really like the direction of what Ray Phoenix has been doing. I like the direction of what El Grande Americano's been doing. And I'm going to give it right now a solid 2.5. I think it was definitely for what it was needed. It, even with the change, I think it filled its purpose. Hoss, I want to throw this to you. What do you think about El Grande Americano taking on Ray Phoenix in WrestleMania Night 1?
I think he made for a good replacement for Ray. My only real gripe is that, on the pre-show, they had Rey Mysterio right there, and he didn't look hurt at all. And I mean, I know there are injuries that you can't see, but if he really is hurt, then so be it. But having him there made it look like he's not hurt, and then they shouldn't have put him on the pre-show, or they should have done something to make him look a little more hurt.
Hoss, I want to step right here for a second. And Justin, you and I have worked out on several occasions. We've worked out in the ring. We know what's there. For those that have ever or have never had the opportunity with an abductor injury, can you explain? Because I mean, again, he looked like, as Hardcore Hoss said, he looked like he was fine. But can you explain kind of how much an abductor injury can impact a wrestler inside the ring?
Well, if an abductor injury is correct, I'm assuming that it is because I have failed many classes on the bodily functions back in my day. Is the abductor part of the ab region? Is that correct?
That is correct. I believe it's the muscle. I believe it's the muscle that connects the abdominal wall. And again, you and I have.
Well, hold on. As you can tell, I have not seen my abs since I've seen baby photos of myself. So, the abductor part, maybe I've done something to it. Maybe that's why I've never seen them, because I got a horrendous chronic injury to the abductors. But I've had injuries, like I have knee issues from the ring. I have fluid on my right elbow. But when it comes to that, Ray's 50 years old, and at this point, you can't just struggle through because it's Mania. At that age, you gotta, Father Time is not too kind to him, and it seems like whenever Mania season comes around, a couple of years ago, didn't he? He lost a quick match to Samoa Joe, because he was injured going into that. So, he's probably not taking any chances. He's missed his Mania moment, but also too, if he can walk, he's probably just struggling through appearing at the pre-show, because at the end of the day, he probably got some kind of payday just being there. So, as long as he's not knocking on death's door, I would be doing the same thing. So, I'm a little, I really wish it wasn't Ray Phoenix that took the L to Americana, Lucha, whatever. I'm bad with this name of this masked man that we don't.
El Grande Americano.
There you go. Yeah, jackass. Anyways, there was a sweet spot at the end of that match where Americano did like a backflip that looked like he landed on his head when he came down on his back. But I give it 2 stars out of 5. I was upset that it was a great match for what it was, but they probably had meant for it to be more with Ray in the picture.
I could agree with you there, Justin. Arsene, the floor is yours. You've been running at the mouth most of the evening, so we're gonna go ahead and go back to you, Mr. Apologetic. Gabriel Arsene.
I just want to take the opportunity to mention this, though, because I can't wait till Penta beats him down. I mean, we eventually, when that happens, I'm waiting for the Lucha Bros to happen. But Susie, I feel the need to correct you here. That is not Chad Gable. Okay. I don't know who spin this yarn. I don't know why people just assume that it is. Maybe it's the build. Maybe it's the fact that he says "sí" or "gracias" instead of a thank you. But with all due respect, Grande Americano has done something that Chad Gable has not, and that is win at WrestleMania. So let it be known for the record books that he is already off to a better start. Now, as far as Rey Fénix goes, I think a lot of people on the IWC, I hate using that abbreviation, are going out of their way to just be like, oh my God, he just jumped ship from AEW and he lost at Mania. It's like, yeah, he was a substitute, which would imply that Rey was probably going to lose anyways. And let's be real here. He's been in the company for how many months?
Probably just like a month, I think.
And he was on Mania. So, like, how many people can say that they've had that opportunity? So, in my opinion, I actually peg this match as the sleeper hit. Because when I look at this match, I can't help but, the comparisons are especially apropos now that Rey Fénix is swapping out for Rey Mysterio. But I'm getting a very, Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio vibe out of this match, but, more in their prime and more in the WWE style and, the AAA style. And
you can't even, okay, I got to interrupt. Don't you even put that Angle Mysterio SummerSlam match compared to that Mania match. It was a good match, but I'm sorry, that match can't be touched.
The thing is, I think it can. I just don't think it's right now. I think given the opportunity. Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, there is someone sitting backstage right now that has had a dealings with a masked individual, and so he may be a good authority on talking about luchas and masked individuals. So let's go ahead and bring him in, our one and only executive producer, the Night Owl, Renee Martinez.
Hey. Where's his mask?
Welcome.
Namaste.
Que pasa, que pasa, que pasa, brothers. Louise, I freaking missed you, scumbags. Mwah.
I have a feeling I brought you back to the show.
What have I missed? Hey, I'm like Justin Waits. I show up once a year, and all I do is bitch the whole time I'm here.
Okay, all right.
Am I stealing your gimmick, Wade?
No, you slipped and used my shoot last name. Like, let's keep that low because it's so original from my work last name. So
right, exactly. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to infringe on the gimmick.
Yeah.
My apologies. Fellas, what can I say? What a pleasure, what an honor, what an incredible show. I really do wish we could do this on a regular basis. I heard Gabe say earlier, man, it feels like everybody showed up tonight. It feels like we do this every so often. Feels like Wrestle Madness, Skywalker. You got any ridiculous questions that nobody knows the answer to tonight?
How about this? Who is next on the list for El Grande Americano?
Personally, I think the unemployment line is who he should be facing next.
I like that answer.
Listen, I'm going to be honest, right? Because I'm not the guy that's going to sit here and cry about political correctness. But let me ask you guys a question. Let's put the shoe on the other foot. Say it's not El Grande Americano. Say it's Jerome Jackson. He comes out, a white guy with cornrows, gold teeth, rap music, watermelon, and fried chicken. Is everybody going to be having a good time with that?
Not me. I don't.
Wow, it got awfully quiet in here.
Yeah, I don't.
It got awfully quiet in here. Well,
depends. Is R-Truth involved? Then we can make something happen. But
well, R-Truth is black, so
Wait
he
a
can get
minute.
away with it. Okay, listen. This is why I'm not allowed back on the airwaves.
You just described Road Dogg.
I got interrupted immediately by the young Road Dogg. There you go. I did describe Road Dogg a little bit. Listen. Here's my hang up, okay? Here's my hang up, and I'll keep it brief because I know fucking Skywalker's already shitting his pants, and I've only been here for a minute.
He does that
Guys,
regularly.
the fact is, it's okay. His poor wife. The fact that everybody is okay with him getting the mariachi entrance and Ray Phoenix getting jack shit pisses me off, okay? We have not had a true Mexican superstar in the WWE since Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah, but bro, I'm gonna stop you there.
Can I finish? Can I finish? I might answer your question before.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me finish, okay? We have not had a real Mexican superstar on the roster since Alberto El Patron del Rio, which, by the way, the TNA acquisition is very interesting. But to give El Idiota, look that up, Americano, that platform before anybody else is disgusting and it's insulting, okay? Because nobody else's culture gets treated like this in the WWE. The Japanese guys get respect. The African American guys get respect. Everybody. And the Samoans, who, by the way, happen to be completely biting the Mexican style. The lowriders, the baggy clothes, the music. The Samoans love the Mexican culture. They borrow from the Mexican culture. Have you ever heard a Mexican guy out here saying oos? I don't think so. Okay? Yarmin. That's a San Francisco Bay Area thing that Mexicans came up with. God, everybody's like, oh my gosh, I thought Night Owl didn't care about race. He's the one that doesn't give a shit about any of that. I don't. But the fact that this is the platform that was given to El Grande Americano, a comedy gimmick, is ridiculous to me. And by the way, I'm with you, Wade. It was extremely poorly executed. And even if Rey Mysterio had been there, it would have been a shit match. I cannot stand what they're doing with El Grande Americano. I think the guy underneath the mask deserves better. I think the opponents deserve better. And I certainly believe the Mexican and Latino audience deserves better. Here's the only thing that I will give them credit for when we're talking about Latin American things, okay? And it almost makes up for it, and I will take no questions once I make this statement about this particular topic.
Oh, yes, you will.
The answer that cures all, listen, the answer that cures all of the dysfunction, both wrestling and erectile, Stephanie Vaquer. If it was not for her showing up recently, I would have lost all hope. You're not following me, Luke Roberts. I understand. Stephanie Vaquer is the only thing going on besides the Lucha Brothers right now that's worth a damn concerning Latin American wrestling. The LWO is a freaking joke. They buried Damian Priest, who's another Latino Puerto Rican, at WrestleMania. All I want to say is this. Can we get a little respect? I feel like Rodney Dangerfield over here, Wade. Can we just get a little bit of respect? The fact that this is the guy that's getting the primary push pisses me off. I don't like it. Not even a little bit.
Two things I got to say here. First, Alberto Del Rio tarnished his hair. I believe you got to go back one more and say Guerrero was the best Hispanic heritage to your guy to the Hispanic heritage.
Well, I didn't say he was the best. I said the last big star.
Yeah,
Pay attention. I know you're getting old. I know
man.
you probably forgot to drink your Ensure tonight.
No, my Ensure. I can't. I'm lactose intolerant, you son of a bitch. Anyway,
they got the almond milk version now. Come on, stay with me.
Also, too, I believe this whole El America Luchador, whatever Gable's doing, it's important.
Americano.
Yeah, it's important. Oh my God, Luke, come on, professionalism, God damn it!
I make him so nervous, bro. You have no idea.
Yeah, look at him. Look at him.
He ran.
Anyways,
the tremors.
I believe it's in poor taste because they just brought in Pentagon and Phoenix. I hate it because those two.
They deserve light.
The work that Pentagon did. What was the promotion that was on?
Lucha Underground.
oh my God, the work he did on that made him look like a superstar, and that's what they should be doing right now, pushing him to the moon.
Agreed.
I really think it's a slap to the face to the luchador community with what they're doing with Gable. I don't give a fuck if he's under a mask and we're supposed to be acting like no. And I also hate it that they're making Gable for him to get popular. They got to do this shtick with him. The motherfucker should be the next coming of Angle.
Bro, he was over when he was losing to Gunther. He was already over.
Yes. And I just really hate it. Also,
go ahead, Gabe. What you got, baby?
Yeah, go ahead, Gabe. I'm sorry.
I need him to finish his thoughts first. I want everybody to get there because I'm getting the receipts ready because I want to do this point by point.
By the way, I missed you guys.
Wade.
Life gets in the way. I missed you guys. I hope you all are doing well. Anyways, it just with Gable, they're really ruining the situation. It seems like. I know I'm going. I digress, but it seems like they brought back Rusev and they brought back what's his name with the blind eye?
Aleister Black.
Aleister Black. It just seems like there he is. Hi, Luke. You got your camera fixed? Okay, good. Anyways, it just seems like AEW gets the guys and they don't know what the fuck to do with them. And then the WWE gets the guys back and they don't know what the fuck to do with them. There's too much shit going on. People are getting lost in the roster, in the shuffle. Go ahead, Gabe. I digress.
Well,
by the way, before anybody jumps in, I just want to say they are getting the stuff with the girls right. So I want to give them credit because Stephanie Becerra and the two other girls that their names is escaping me that just showed up this last couple of weeks, they're doing a great job there. They just don't give the guys the same level of respect.
Well, Night Out.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I want to jump in here real quick too, because to me, and this was one of those that I was intrigued, and as the night went on, it kind of disappointed me. Was Triple H's announcement very early on before night one was the purchase of AAA. To me, I've always been one, and you and I have had these conversations, Renee, that AAA has always been the forerunner when it comes to Lucha Libre. And I understand how they want to be, this is NXT Mexico or NXT UK or whatever. To me, I am scared to death of what the WWE may attempt to try to do to AAA. And again, this is not because of the fact that I am a what some people consider a wrestling purist or a catch as catch can. I love all styles of professional wrestling. I think Lucha Libre is innovative. I think it's cutting edge. But the idea of where it scares me to death, and I'm just going to say this, El Hijo de Vikingo, who was in the ring at the end of that matchup, he looked completely lost. And this is a man who's been at the top of the game for several years. And he just leaned like he got completely lost in the shuffle here. And you got somebody who the world should be open to. And it just kind of like went plop.
All right, so before I get on this, Haas, you've been in the corner for a bit. I want to make sure that do you have any piece on this match or anything that we've been talking about right now?
Nobody puts baby in the corner. What the hell's wrong with y'all?
It's a big baby.
Honestly, I don't think there's anything I can add that hasn't already been said. I mean, I totally agree that this is disrespectful to luchas all around, and I agree with Susie, and I agree with Chris Rodell, which is very, very rare that I agree with Chris Rodell, is simply Chad Gable is under that mask, Gabe. I don't care what you say, that's Chad Gable. And it is disrespectful to the luchas. And
You're killing kayfabe, bro. You're killing kayfabe.
Sir, you need to understand you have not seen me and Batman in the same room, okay? So we can clarify that maybe, just maybe, I might be the Dark Knight, okay?
If you're Batman,
I until there is proof in the pudding, I refuse to accept that is Chad Gable underneath that mask.
Puerto Rican Batman. Okay, I got it.
You can refuse to accept it all you want, but facts are facts.
All right. So with all that said, I'm rattling off this the best way that I can imagine, right? Okay, so while I don't refute the idea, I just want to throw this out there. Renee, you are the one listing off the ethnic groups and the representation when it comes to WWE as a whole. Have we been watching the same product, sir? I just want to throw this out there. You want to start with Asian wrestlers up until Shinsuke Nakamura and Asuka. Off the top of your head, who are the representatives when it comes to Asian wrestlers and how are they presented?
Okay, bro, how far do we want to go back? I can make a point and go back 25 years if you want me to. In the last 5 to 7 years, nobody has been more disrespected than the Mexican wrestlers. Not just Latin wrestlers, because the Puerto Ricans are getting their share. Damian Priest was champion and so on and so forth. We can go back as far as you want. All I can tell you is the last 5 to 7, everybody's been getting their respect. And what do we get? What do we get? Joaquin Phoenix, bro? These guys come out every week. Nobody even knows what their names are. Here's a good one. Name me the other guy that comes out with Rey Mysterio. Go ahead, Hoss. Let's go around the horn here. Just real quick, Gabe. Just to your point. Hoss, what's the guy that comes out with Rey Mysterio that's got that ridiculous-looking hat? Do you remember his name?
That one, no.
Okay, we'll give you a minute. Jay Wade,
No,
the
I
other
don't know.
ridiculous guy with the balding guy, kind of spiky hair, comes on every single week. You know what his name is?
No, because I don't. Not whatsoever.
Okay, and Skywalker will know because he's got no hobbies. So back to you, Gabe. Okay, so point blank, what is your point? I want to hear it, but we want to do this timeline thing. We can do this timeline thing. What's your point?
Okay, so just to throw it out there, assuming any of you are correct in that Chad Gable is underneath that mask, hypothetically speaking, as a heel determined to get heat, what is more disrespectful than dishonoring something as sacred as luchadors and their masks? Than a dude who has no association with that whatsoever coming out to an entrance that is absolutely well-deserved for somebody who actually does represent that, getting his comeuppance as time goes on. Because that's what the buildup is here, right? That we finally defraud the face of this man.
So you're admitting... Let me ask you a question. So you're admitting that you're okay with cheap heat? You're good with it? You're good with it?
This is the WWE,
I'm a little bit more of a sophisticated wrestling fan, bro. No disrespect to you. Cheap heat, bro. Cheap heat all the time on WrestleMania. Bro, give me that shit on a Sunday night heat. I will accept it. SmackDown, start of the second hour. Okay, but bro, on WrestleMania, stop it, bro. Skywalker, cut it out. Okay. Listen, Gabe, I'm all for the comedy gimmicks, but it's got to be done right. This is the cheapest, lamest way of doing what they're doing, and it is not only a disrespect culturally, but I think it's a disrespect to Chad Gable and everything that he's been doing for the last 2 years to build himself up from faction to faction. He's been getting people over, and this is what you give the guy? It's ridiculous.
See, and then this was my next point, so I'm glad you bring this out. You guys want to talk about when it comes to representing Angle the best way, right? Where did Angle get his start before he became the Wrestling Machine? I'm not refuting what was going on with the naturally organic thing that happened for the IC title with Gunther. I get that. But if anybody can turn chicken shit into chicken salad, it's Chad Gable. And that's because when Kurt Angle got the biggest heat, or at least got the biggest attention, was when he was doing comedy gimmicks. And funnily enough, what was it? It was a gimmick that we all knew the payoff to. When he had that fake ass headband on with his fake toupee, and we all knew he was bald underneath. So again, assuming that this is Chad Gable, I'm not saying it is, but when the reveal is the obvious turn away that we know he's been under that mask the whole time, you tell me why I'm wrong about this.
Because it's going to be underwhelming just like this entire gimmick is, and it's poorly placed because you don't put crap like this on WrestleMania. You know who hasn't had a WrestleMania match in 10, 15 years? R-Truth. Give R-Truth a spot on WrestleMania. Somebody that actually deserves it, bro. You got to be kidding me. The only thing good that came out of this is that Rey Fenix and Pentagon Jr. got an opportunity to WrestleMania on their very first year. That is the only streamline to this thing. That is the only light at the end of the tunnel of this thing, because the gimmick sucks. It's disrespectful. It's not even funny. It's not even funny, bro. If that's what it's supposed to be, you would throw everything out to the side, right? And we'll just say, hey, you know what? It's pretty terrible, but at least it's hilarious. It's not even funny, bro.
Well, you know something, gentlemen? I'm going to cut in right here because we've exhausted this avenue. We could put a whole nother episode of the Wrestle Talk podcast. You know, we're going to move on. We got two more matches.
The match was pretty good. I just want to say that. The match itself was decent. I'll give it that.
Okay. Let's look at another match. Let's look at another match.
And Ray are great wrestlers.
Yeah. Our next match, Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. I'm going to tell you.
Wait. Hold on. I have a special guest that I want to bring in on this next topic. Okay. With your guys' permission. Okay. This is a very dear friend of mine, and we have two amazing announcements to make while he joins us. I think your camera just turned there, Skywalker. So, Hardcore Hoss, Gabe, one of you guys that's got the controller in your hand, if you guys could do me a favor and bring on who is an esteemed member of the FWWC and a guy that is very, very soon going to be seen on these airwaves on a very regular basis, and is, if that wasn't enough, one of our newest sponsors here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome in Georgia's finest. That's right, his boy is raw and more uncut than Georgia moonshine. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, a man who is known by one name and one name only, my amigo and soon to be yours. Ladies and gentlemen, Ace that runs the place.
How about it now? You know, I'm sitting here for the past 45 minutes listening to people rambling on about the Mexicans at WrestleMania. Look, man, who the hell you think set up the stage, man? Lazy-ass white people didn't do that shit. We do what we do best. We take somebody's culture, we steal the spotlight, and we were like, hey, it's ours. So, I mean, come on. You know what they were doing. They was the ones setting up the seats.
You son of a bitch, you're 100% right. I fucking hate you.
I mean, you know lazy-ass white people didn't do that, man. Come on. I like your style there, man. Come on now. Look at this.
We're not doing that shit. Well, listen, guys, before we get into the next topic, I know Skywalker will be back. Look at that. That's you, not me, bro.
It's the lighting, man. It's that epic, you know how it goes. Make the entrance.
Yeah. Next go around, we got to get that light to hit you from the front, not from the back. Pause. Okay. Yeah, so, right? Ace is here. A lot of innuendos here. So, Ace is here for a couple of reasons. We'll want to get into the next topic, but we're going to cover the first one first and the last one last. Does that make sense? Okay. The first one is this. You guys heard me say it in the introduction. Ace, from this point forth, and his company, Doomed Outfitters, will be producing merch for you, for me, and for the FWWC. This gentleman is one of the most talented artists that I have ever met, along with my buddy Gabe Arsene, who is an incredible artist as well. But Ace actually makes custom championship belts, ladies and gentlemen. Nice. So forget those weirdos on the Facebook pages in Indonesia that you're worried if you're ever going to get that belt after all the shipping through DHL. That belt that you see on the screen right now was forged. You hear me? It was forged, blood, sweat, and tears down in Georgia by his truly the one and only Ace that runs the place. So just know, ladies and gentlemen, from this point forward, if you need a custom championship as a gift to give away, you want one for yourself with your name on it, you want one for your wrestling company or your fantasy wrestling company, Doomed Outfitters is the place to go. If you are looking for a gift that is one of a kind, that nobody else in the world owns, that you design yourself, you go over to my guys over at Doomed Outfitters. You let them know the Night Owl, the Wrestle Talk Podcast, and the FWWC sent you, and I promise we'll get your stinking ass taken care of immediately. Can you speak on that for us just briefly there, Mr. Ace?
Oh, yeah, man. If you that, like he said, everything fully custom. If you want it down to, and I'm telling you, I made one recently. There was an office that had the biggest dick in the office award. And so the plate was nothing but a big dick on a leather strap. So if you want it custom, I draw it Everything
we
I
gotta
do,
get
you
one
want.
of those
If
for
you
Night
got
Owl.
an idea in your head, it doesn't matter what you want. If you got an idea in your head, you tell me. I draw it out, put it in computer. We make the mold, we make the belt, we pour it. Everything custom. I mean, we've done several of them. And as far as the merchandise itself, we do T-shirts, hats, keychains, necklaces, anything you want customized. We do every single bit of it. So it's not just the belts. For instance, if you have a promotion that has wrestlers, they just hadn't come up with their idea yet. They hadn't come up with what they want is their symbol, their style, their persona, whatever the hell it is. If they want an idea, put it on a T-shirt. Call me up. We'll put it on there. I'll make them keychains, car tags, stickers, logos, you name it. I do it all. Matter of fact, even for my grandbaby, I just had a grandbaby this past Friday, my third grandbaby, and we did a custom onesie, and it's got the Doomed Outfitters, and it's got Papa's Little Crotch Gremlin. Just something stupid. That's what we put on there. So if you want something truly, now if you want a custom, title, or you want something like a replica, whatever, with your stupid logo, yeah, get that from somebody else. If you want something completely customized, something out of your head, call me up. And the reason why I say, call me is because we go cheap. Anywhere else that's going to do this and do it fully custom, especially the way you want it, they're going to charge you thousands and thousands of dollars. Guarantee you, it's probably never going to hit more than maybe $700. And that's for everything. That's fully custom. That's me making it, shipping it. I'll go ahead and tell you, it probably never hit more than $700 because, it's just not that expensive.
You got the 2 millimeter plates, right? You do the 2 millimeter plates. You can make it up to 4 millimeter plates. You can do 4 plates, 2 plates, whatever.
We do the yeah, it comes in brass, comes in zinc. Now, if you want something more detailed just for show, I'd go with the zinc and I'd have it 4 millimeter stacked, however the hell you want it. If you want something that you're going to use in the ring, something's going to be beat up, stuff like that, go with a 2 millimeter or go with 4 millimeter brass. That's a lot harder as far as just in the ring, competition, whatever. But like I said, you name it, I put it on there. You want shirts, hats, what the hell ever, custom belts, call me, I got you.
That's right. And don't forget to mention that the Wrestle Talk podcast and the FWWC sent you. If you do that, you might even get a deal on it.
Yeah, definitely. Because like I said, once we partnered up, that gives me a chance to get it out there and stuff. And other promotions, I know everybody's spread out in different states. I've had a few already kind of throw it out there. They brought their titles to their shows. People seen it. They've already asked. I've been hit up with a few. Matter of fact, 2 of y'all has already hit me up with guys, and I'm working on their designs now. I love the opportunity, and just a blend of things. And I do the replica titles too. I mean, a lot of people call me up and say, "Hey, I want a classic Hogan title." Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Not a problem. I throw it in the computer, make the mold, make them as realistic as you could possibly make. I mean, just to throw myself out there, I do brag about my work. So if you want a Hogan title, you want a winged eagle, something that's just, it looks like it comes straight from the ring over the Rock's shoulder, call me up and I got you.
Cool. Yeah, and we really need to help Ace out, guys, because he's clearly still using dial-up internet and a cricket phone. So holla at him immediately because we got to get my man's technology up to snuff.
We got to get him a new setup.
A cricket, so he's been upgraded? Because I thought he was still using a track phone.
A track phone, okay.
Since Obama in the office, man, those down in South Georgia, we're screwed. No.
Hey, I do have a quick question.
It's the
Yeah, I think it's the backlighting that's killing you, bro. It's too much light. But just real quick, and you can pop off and pop right back in if you want to adjust that. Before we continue on, that'll give you a second to do that, Ace, if you want to adjust your lighting. Mm-hmm. Wade, I have a question for you because this is all news to you as well, and it's news to all of our audience. Let me ask you, since you've been a part of a promotion for a very, very long time, you've been a wrestler, you've been in the business for a very, very long time. Yes. How important is it to have a respectable and professional-looking championship belt?
Oh, it's very
speak on that
important.
If you could.
It's very important. I've worked with promotions and they've been good promotions. It's just that their belts were they looked like what you saw on television. So like, if someone won a belt, you're like, hey, did he just win the Intercontinental strap? No. It's this promotion. I like when promotions have unique looking belts, when they don't look like what you see on TV. It's important, and you also don't want them looking like they were made with with they were made with the same material that you would see the toy belts in the toy department at Target are made out of, for the WWE when they make those replica belts for the kids. So yeah, a good belt is very important to a promotion. It gives it prestige, gives it you'd be like, oh, this is a serious promotion that you can hopefully they got some money to put out a good product. Gentlemen.
And hopefully having this belt means the guys will pay the boys with actual cash and not a hot dog and a pat on the back.
Or
most definitely Night Owl.
Coupons to Arby's.
Yeah, Night Owl, I 100% agree with you. When
Pay
you
your
look
guys,
at professional, when you look at professional wrestling promotions that have those championships, I go back, and I know this is going to sound kind of cliche, but you go back to the mid 1980s, and you look at when wrestlers the likes of Ric Flair or a Harley Race or a Dusty Rhodes wore the old Dome Globe Championship. You knew full well that the championship, it takes a life of its own. It's, that the person who has that championship belt, it means something. There's the legacy. There's that connection. When Ric Flair went to the Big Gold for several years, you knew that if somebody was carrying that much in gold and diamonds through the airport, you knew that it meant something. And that's one of the things. When you are a champion, it doesn't matter whether you're in some of these up-and-coming independent promotions or you're in the promotions like a WWE, like an AEW, like a New Japan Pro Wrestling. When you're in these promotions and you have something that is going to represent, because that championship represents your brand. It's just like Ace was talking about. In professional wrestling or in any business, you have a brand. And that is just another piece of the marketing that professional wrestling has. And when you have a championship like that, that you can recognize, people, when you're in the St. Louis area, you see, oh, that's the Dynamo Pro Championship, or oh, that's the Classic Wrestling Championship of SICW, or that's the MMWA title, or that's the NWA World League Wrestling Championship, or you go to any other promotion across this country. When you see something that has that prestige, that honor, and that identifiability, that's when you take your professional wrestling game to the next level.
I have to agree.
Absolutely agree. And listen, I know we want to get back to high spots. Go ahead, John. So,
I was just saying, I agree 100% there with Luke. And it's also like Susie said, that's why she takes her title everywhere she goes. And, just like this past weekend, I just got this title just before WrestleMania. So the first place I got to take it was to the WDWA show this weekend. And when I walked in, people were looking at that and going, wow, what is that? And they're sitting there looking at it. We got one guy who automatically started, how much does he charge for those? Because I want to get a title made myself, and so we sent him his way, and, hopefully they'll be able to work something out. But the craftsmanship on these titles, that's not some tin that's real, that's thick, that's real leather. You got the brass buttons. The workmanship, the craftsmanship to it is, second to none. And so definitely, if you want to get a title made and you want it to be professional, this is the man to come see.
And I just want to mention, it's really impressive because as a wrestling fan, I've made belts, but they were out of like foam cardboard and like plastic. Like it's just, I put my effort into it. It looks great, but it doesn't line up. And then I just want to take the opportunity since we're talking the same way. What now?
As a kid, I did the same thing. In shop class, the very first actual title I made from metal was in shop class in high school. I took in shop class, cut out the shape I wanted, took a brazen rod, melted that thing down, made it all gold, shiny, cut in my designs, took a wrestling belt. That was the very first one I ever made. I kept that thing all the way up until, God, I was probably 30 when I finally lost that thing. And by losing it, I mean my wife kind of tossed it out in the bin somewhere. But yeah, broke my heart, man.
I was going to say, since we're on the topic of title belts, I guess because we all know like the belts that look good, and we're talking about you want your belt to represent your brand. But off the top of your head, gentlemen, what is the best title belt and what is the worst title belt in your opinion? Okay, I'm honestly. I was going to say, you were saying it?
The big gold is always going to be the best. I think the worst is probably what they have now. The whole it's ugly. It's the one with the big W in the middle and stuff like that. The one Cody's got, and I hated that style when they come out with it. To me, that's worse than the spinner belt. The spinner belt looks corny, but at the same time, whatever. This one just looks trashy. It looks like a toy. You can't take it seriously. And even with the world title, looks like a toy with that stupid W in the middle of it. They needed to just do away with it, put a globe there, make it look legit and not like a toy. And with Jey Uso holding it, I'm sorry, it's nothing more than just a mid-card toy title. That's all it's ever going to be. Just my opinion.
Something?
I was going to say, Luke looked like he had something to say.
Well, I'm going to say right now, I would agree with Ace, but there's another one that always stands out. And I'll be honest with you. I think to me, it wasn't the first couple of generations, but the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, the one that had the side plates that had the names of the past wrestlers, a lot kind of like the old WWF Championship or WWF, that big green belt.
Yeah, except they had enough
one that has
more than 6 names.
But the thing is, though, if you look at that championship, though, and you look at the actual IWGP title, that thing can hold, if I'm not mistaken, I think it can hold, let's see, I think it's 8 per plate times 4. That's at least 32 champions that could be held on that belt. And a lot of wrestlers that are in New Japan have it on a couple of occasions. I mean, that's great and well and good. To me, one that I thought was simple, but I never really got behind, actually were 2. One of them was the 24/7 belt.
Thank you. I hate that
and
belt.
The other one was the WCW Hardcore Championship. I got the reason behind the WWF Hardcore title. I got the reason behind it. But the WCW Hardcore title just looked like they were putting another belt out there to represent their brand. And it's like, no. But again, I have to agree with Ace. Big Gold is probably right up there as the number one to me.
It made no sense, too, because I'm pretty sure Warner was like, you can't blade or anything. So it's like, imagine a hardcore match that can't get that hardcore. It was like it did wonders for Norman Smiley. I am not refuting the belt itself, but like, honest to God, guys, show of hands, how many people remember that belt?
Nah, bro.
Luke only remembers it. Exactly.
I do.
I remember it, and I wasn't even alive back then. I was like probably 4. But it's such a garbage belt. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to mention, too, I miss the old IWGP belt so badly. I don't hate the V5. I think it looks really good. It's very shiny. It's nice. But I look at the old belt that Okada used to wear and Tanahashi wore, and like the belt is so big, and it really puts me in the mind of the Warriors Heart Championship that I no longer carry. But the fact that like it got very scuffed up, because unlike WWE, they only have the one belt. They don't have the ones that they have for the photo shoots or the ones they use on TV. They just have the one, and it got really scuffed. But it was a nice kind of scuffed. It was one of those things where it looked bludgeoned, but it still looked like a prize. One of the rivets, I think, was busted. So like one of the gems was falling out. But it looked perfect. And the side plates were my favorite detail. The fact that you could see the names, and it was just big. Like when I saw, to me, that's the Okada belt. Just seeing that thing over his shoulder while he was wearing his like suit and everything, I was like, that's a world championship. That is what a world championship should look like. That is what people should fight for to be considered a world champion. And then as far as worst championships belt goes, he already said the 24/7 championship. but there's something about the Divas belt that just bothers me. It's like, because the NXT Women's Championship looks fine and it is silver and pink. It's like, you can be feminine without being like, I don't know, like, I feel like it's demeaning. I feel like the fact that it's called the Divas Championship, I don't mind if someone is a self-proclaimed diva. I don't mind that. I'm pretty sure Chelsea Green models a lot of her wrestling after that. And it's welcome because we got a lot of workhorses now. So to have somebody that's a little more sports entertainment than athlete is appreciated. But at the time, it's like, this is why people don't take this division seriously, because you're categorizing them all as divas. You're categorizing them all as the bathroom break match. And the fact that it has like a version that's purple and a version that's pink, it's like, oh yeah, pick whatever color you want, as long as it's the Bratz and Barbie's colors. Yeah, women's wrestling. This is what we're doing. But I gotta throw it. I mean, Justin, Renee. I mean,
yeah. Before you were born, kid, we had lingerie matches. That's what we got. But before they really got.
Thank you. I'm
Sable.
Before women's wrestling, and I'm sorry, I've been watching a lot of hardcore women's wrestling from Japan lately. Those girls can beat the shit out of all of us on the screen right now. So
they will layer 6 layers of paint off you. They will thump the shit out of you.
It's hard to watch women's wrestling in the States right now. Yeah, and so when it comes to the belt, I was a big fan of the original NWA belt that Harley and Flair had in the late 70s.
That's the greatest belt in history, in my opinion. That's the best one.
But what I was introduced to was the Winged Eagle in '93 when I first became a fan of wrestling, and seeing at Mania 9 when Hart lost it to Zuna, and then Hogan came in, and at the time I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread when Hogan came in as the American hero and won it. But now after all these years reading all the shit and the backstage politics and stuff, but the Winged Eagle. Now my least favorite belt would probably have to be, I don't know if you guys remember this one, that's even worse than the hardcore belt from WCW. Right before they closed up shop, they had the WCW Tag Team Cruiserweight belt, and that thing,
they're garbage too. It's just like an eagle with the wings, and it looks like it's printed on like, you remember how Ace was saying that he doesn't print it on like crappy copper metal? That's what it looked like it was printed on.
Yeah, and it had no color to it. It was just 2 shades of silver, and it was it was horrendous. I think they only had it in circulation for like a month or two before they closed up shop. So that's my
favorite. I'm gonna jump in real quick, too. An honorable mention, and I know this is something that Justin's always said that he wants to acquire one for his own personal library.
I'd love to.
This is another one.
An excuse to show that belt off again.
No, this is another one I would say that you definitely need to put in that list as well.
It's beautiful. It is a beautiful belt. Oh, hey, look at me. I'm back on the main screen. So we got a lot of Mania left.
Are we gonna We do. And I have one big announcement too before we get back to that. I just want to say shame on all of you guys for not bringing up 2 of the worst belts in history, and they're both fairly recent. Number 1, the current Intercontinental Championship that's got like a big Easter egg right in the middle. Don't like it. And then, guys, nobody brought up the John Cena Spear belt. Considering everything that's going on right now, that thing is the cheesiest piece of crap that I've ever seen in my life. I exactly know where he got it. As a matter of fact, he got it from G-Unit. Not only the spinning necklace, but this thing, he got it from G-Unit and Tony Yayo as well. So the fact that you guys didn't bring up either of those 2, I'm almost as offended as I am by El Grande Americano. Okay? So now, to my final announcement. Go ahead, Gabe.
Offended by all of you.
What are you like? If I was 7 years old, I would have loved it too.
That's exactly what the age bracket I was. I was probably 9 years old when it came out. So that, of course, I would have liked it.
That makes sense.
It worked out because it didn't look good on anybody but Cena. So that's why he won it so much. So because it looked the best on him.
Yeah, that was already married.
It looked good on Cena.
Let's get to this major announcement.
Yo, Ace was working on his first grand. All right, announcement. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take care of it now, and then I'll get out of your guys' hair.
Thank fucking God.
The real reason I'm here tonight, guys, Shut your mouth, Wade. I'll pay you when I need you to talk.
Love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love you too, buddy. It's been so long. Feels like a reunion tonight. Final announcement from yours truly tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited. I am a little bit emotional. And I am looking forward to the future because sometimes in order to set the path towards the future, you have to look to the past for inspiration. And I think that we are long overdue for the return of one of the greatest programs to ever exist on this network. A lot of guys are like, what network? What is he talking about? That's the Essential Enterprises Network. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, within just a couple of weeks, and he's going to get into some details here with you guys after I step out, we are officially bringing back the FWWC Tonight. And it is not called the FWWC Tonight podcast, ladies and gentlemen, because it will not be a podcast. You have it straight from the owl's mouth. This will not be another janky podcast. This is going to be one of the greatest mediums of entertainment to ever exist in the world of fantasy wrestling. And so much so that I'm willing to let the cat out of the bag because the host of said show is amongst us here today. Ladies and gentlemen, the brand new and exclusive and only host of the aforementioned FWWC Tonight, making its return. No, not our current reigning longest ever hardcore champion in FWWC history. No, not the young lion with the old soul, the hardest working Warriors Heart champion of all time. No, ladies and gentlemen, it is a man that put the Spartans Heart Championship on the map. You heard me say it because I've been here since day one. Ladies and gentlemen, the owner of Doomed Outfitters and the newest host of the FWWC Tonight, my man and your friend now, whether you like it or not, Ace that runs the Ep.514.
All right. So, as you heard, the FWC Tonight is actually back. It's not a podcast. Nothing is podcast, but we want this as an actual show. Now, right this minute, we're going to start slow. It's going to be probably just a once-a-month thing, and it's not going to be a recap show. This is going to be a comedy. Okay, y'all have all seen Tosh.0. You've all seen To The Night Show. You've all seen several different shows to where it's mocking the events in the world. Well, this is going to mock all the events that's happening in wrestling. So you're going to have weeks worth of stuff that's completely stupid going on in wrestling, or even stuff that's supposed to be serious, and we're going to just dog the hell out of it because, I mean, what better way to do it? You got the dark side of the ring always yapping about, well, who cares about the backstage politics? Nobody cares, okay? It's great, but once they killed that curtain and everybody got to see what kind of pricks our heroes were, nobody cares. Now we get to see the funny side of it. Prime example, John Cena. I'm going to dog the hell out of John Cena. I'm going to dog Charlotte. I'm going to dog even the folks in the FWC. It doesn't matter who it is, AEW, New Japan, wrestling, period. We're going to dog it. I'm telling you, this is going to be funny. It's going to be, well, I'm hoping it's going to be funny. I mean, I only been booed off the stage one time back when I was doing stand-up. I'm sorry. I cracked a joke on a lady in a damn wheelchair, and she tried to stand up and hit me. But, whatever. Anyway, this is going to be hilarious. But it's going to be a humorous side of wrestling. It's going to talk about all the funny stuff. It's going to take everything that's going on, past, present, possibly even in the future, and we're going to make the most fun out of it and just dog it, run it in the dirt, and just have fun. So that's going to be definitely tonight. We are going to bring in every once in a while, special guests. We're still going to have every once in a while leading up into matches. We're going to have a few people coming on talking, but we're going to stray away from the chaotic atmosphere that it was before. People got on, they spent, hijacked the show, 30, 40 minutes, rambling back and forth with each other, speaking over one another. It just got ridiculous, okay? That is not what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring attention to the matches, bring attention to the events that's going on, but also do it in a way that's not tasteless. But then again, I don't know. I'm completely tasteless, so some of the jokes will probably be offensive as hell. but we're going to do it in a way that's more professional than what it was before. And it's not going to be a podcast. It's going to be a show that's going to be continued, hopefully, for here on out. And once it picks up, maybe a weekly show. But for now, it's going to be monthly. They give us a chance to get it rolling. Our very first date that we're aiming for, and it's going to premiere, it's going to be May 22nd. You're going to see a lot of advertisements, commercials. We're going to do something that we've never done before, whether it be podcasts, whatever. We're actually going to have commercials inside of this actual show. That means we're going to cut a segment. We're going to throw in Wrestle Talk Podcast. We're going to advertise you guys, throw you out there. Hey, we're going to get you viewers because we have a whole setup in a commercial. And I think Hoss has got one eventually. He's going to show y'all. But we're going to have a commercial advertising y'all. We're going to advertise my products. We're going to advertise anything associated with our group and our sponsors. They're going to take the little commercial breaks, and we're going to make this into a real thing. It's going to be a show. So like I said, not a podcast, a show. I hope everybody tunes in, everybody has fun with it, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. So far, the stuff we've got together and everything that me and Susie and Hoss has gotten together doing, it's been great. So looking forward to it. Hope everybody else does. And hey, I mean, this is going to take off. We're excited about it.
Well, Ace, I'm going to tell you right now on behalf of the Wrestle Talk Podcast family, the Essential Enterprises family, this is definitely another huge step forward in the Essential Enterprises network. I mean, again, you're looking at so many different avenues. I mean, we've had the announcement of Elevation. We have now the relaunch of FWWC Tonight at the Wrestle Talk Podcast. There are so many different avenues for the Essential Enterprises network. And on behalf of myself, the Night Owl, Hardcore Hoss, and the rest of the WTP family, the Wrestle Talk Podcast family, we want to officially say, without any reservations, welcome. I mean, you're already been a part of the Wrestle Talk Podcast family for many a year, but now you're officially a member of the media side of the Wrestle Talk Podcast family. And I'm going to tell you, just like I'm looking forward to Elevation, I am definitely looking forward to seeing as I said, the launch date is going to be May 22nd to check out the relaunch of FWWC Tonight, right here, hosted by the ace that runs the place, right here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast Network through the Essential Enterprises Network. And I got to tell you, if you haven't had a chance, I know what these guys have been putting together. I've had an opportunity. I've heard the meetings. I've seen the things that are going on. You are not going to be disappointed with the all-new FWWC Tonight.
Well, and Ace, I will say, you said it's going to be funny. Well, one thing for sure, I'm pretty sure it will be funny because, you know, you're hosting and you're funny looking. So, you know.
I mean, just cute genetics. I mean, how can you beat that?
Don't want to.
Y'all, and my poor grandbaby, I love her to death, but she is already stuck with my genetic ears. Like, that is the first thing I noticed. And I'm like, oh, that poor baby. I was hoping that skipped at least 8 generations, but she's doomed already. Like my saying says, we're doomed species. She's doomed as a grandbaby. I'm telling you, her ears are stuck out there.
All right, gentlemen, though, we still have a little bit of time left in the program, and we still have a lot of Mania left to talk. So, were we ready to jump into the next match? Because I think we got a lot to talk about when it comes to Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair.
Most definitely.
I mean, we've been going 2.5 hours, and we still got plenty more to talk about.
Well, guys, I'm going to tell you right now again, FWWC Tonight and Doomed Outfitters as well. Make it a point. Again, Ace, I want to say thank you for everything that you've done. I know there's a lot of things that are going to be happening here in the weeks to come as a part of the Essential Enterprise Network. And again, a shout out to you, both with Doomed Outfitters and the FWWC Tonight. You want to ask more information, check out Ace, check out all the WTP social media. We're going to have all the most recent up-to-date information about not only this great business, but we're also going to be having a lot more about the FWWC Tonight.
Yes, sir. And now there is a Facebook page for Doomed Outfitters. So if you get a chance, you jump on my page. I'm on Facebook as well. Will Brumlow, like for those that actually, you know, throwing it back there, you actually know my real name. Look up Doomed Outfitters on Facebook and look at some of the designs. Even on the designs, the stuff we come up with, it's comedy, but it's my design. I draw it, I throw it in computer, throw it on a shirt. I mean, it's hilarious, you know. So, and it's adult humor, but the same thing with the shirts. If you want something custom made on the shirt. She wants your cousin's face put on it, which we have a lot of that too, which is kind of creepy. But you want it on a shirt, we put it on there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Wilbur Ace. Again, thank you for being on the program. Thank you for being a part of our WrestleMania Rewind here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast, and we definitely look forward to hearing from you again real soon.
All right, y'all take care. Thanks for having me on now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the hits just keep on coming, and guys, we've been 2+ hours. And we're just about ready with night one. But, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, the last 2 matches that we have to talk about with night one are both biggies. One, Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton. I'm going to tell you right now, to me, these 2 ladies, they definitely left it all out on the table. I'm going to say right now, when it comes down to it, I want to say 3. I really wish that this would have been would have brought a little more to the table. This really felt like a Raw main event to me instead of a co-main event for night 1 of WrestleMania. But to me, again, great match. Charlotte Flair, she's definitely going to be a Hall of Famer down the road. Tiffany Stratton has been delivering consistently. I got to tell you right now, I think this was a good, solid match, and it shows that Tiffany Stratton not only is the future of the women's division, but it also shows that at any point Charlotte Flair could come in and take any championship she wants. Arsene, your thoughts?
You guys need to understand, okay? The thing that netted me the loss, essentially, because I had missed a couple of matches, but it evened us out. But the thing that netted my opponent the advancement or the advantage in the points was this match. And I don't remember if I mentioned it earlier on the podcast, but I said it myself when I was deciding who I wanted to win. I said, right now, I would rather be pleasantly surprised and lose than have Charlotte Flair dethrone Tiffany Stratton and win. And that is exactly what I got. Unfortunately, you have to be careful what you wish for. But damn it, I am so relieved that Stratton got to have her moment. And just to throw this out there for anybody who wants to try and, have Charlotte save face in this situation by saying, see, she does lose at Mania. She's not the Hulk Hogan of the group. It's like, yes, she is. Okay. This is the equivalent of Cena losing at SummerSlam to make up for all of the members of the Nexus. You still got about 3 left, Charlotte. So when you lose the next couple, then I'll start to believe that you're not the Hulk Hogan of this group, because I will never forgive you for beating Rhea, for beating Asuka, for beating off the top of my head, I'm trying to think, for weaseling your way into that 3-way match with Ronda. She didn't need to be in that match. It was horseshit. She felt the need to go in because it's Charlotte, and it's Charlotte. She has to win everything. But more toward my ranking of the match, did you guys see the potatoes? Like, they were blowing shit out of each other. Like, Tiffy lost a tooth, didn't she? She chipped it.
That's what I heard.
That I saw. And then she got the bruise on her cheek and everything. And I'm just like, the whole time I'm like, it honestly added to the match for me. I don't know if it was enough to give it 4 stars, but it is very much a 3-star match for me. Just because of just to watch it over again, just to see it. And they really, really hated each other after that program. You can tell. So with that underlying tension and the fact that, Tiffany got to have her feel-good win. And personally, I was in love with that entrance. I thought that was perfect. I thought it looked cool. I'm biased. I liked the movie with Margot Robbie and wow, I think I would remember his name if I loved this movie as much. But point is, I'm glad it's still Tiffy time, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm still waiting on my deal for that clock. So where we at, WWE?
All right. Well, Arsene, we now know that you have this thing where you want to have every piece of Tiffany Stratton merchandise you could possibly get. Wade, your thoughts on Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair, night 1 of WrestleMania?
I'm glad Gabe had a lot to say because I did not watch the match. I could care less. But only thing I can say is that it looks like every time I see Charlotte on television, she's looking more and more like a wax figurine in the face. So, yeah, I got up and did some things while that match was going on, i.e., used the restroom for an extended amount of time, and read my book and came back out just in time for the main event. So,
Well, if you see right here too, talking about told Tiffany at one, oh yeah, I heard the story about the DMs and whatnot, and again,
I
it's
had a
one of the.
BM during that match.
And on that note, we're going to move right on along here. You know something, and I want to throw this out here. And again, a lot of people think it's kind of strange, but I'm just going to throw it out there because we're putting it out on a level. There's been a lot of times in professional wrestling where wrestlers talk about the idea of what does it take when you're inside the squared circle. I'm going to tell you right now, I have been friends with Justin Wade for, as crazy as it sounds now,
21 years.
We've known each other for almost 20 or over 20 years. And I will tell you, one of the things that cements your friendship and that bond of brotherhood inside the squared circle is when the two of you go at it. And it's one of those things where I knew full well
I'm going to beat the piss out of you anytime I get in the ring with you, Luke.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I just beat the shit.
But by the same token too, though, one of the things that you learn in the wrestling industry is the idea where as time goes on, and I'm not in any way calling myself a veteran here, but it's the idea when you have somebody who's been in this industry longer than you've been, and you get the opportunity to learn from them, whether it's competing or I told Wade the story many years ago, the first time I ever had to get into a hardcore match. I was on the show and Harley Race was in the locker room and I'm pacing. I'm like 18, 19 years old. I'm pacing up and down. I think I'm going to walk out with broken body parts, with cuts and bruises. And Harley Race is like, you worried? I'm like, yeah. It's like, dude, go out there, wrestle, do what you got to do. You'll feel it tomorrow. You won't feel it tonight. And I went out there and had one of the best matches in my career up at that point in time. And when it came down to it, it came down to having that somebody who was in my ear to be able to share the knowledge that they had. And speaking of which, that's going to move here to the main event of night one. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk. I'm going to tell you right now, while I pretty much knew what to expect, the cliffhanger, the how, as they say, they pulled the puppet strings. This matchup right here, I think it delivered. I really felt that I knew that the CM Punk thing was too good to be true. I was hoping upon hope that the whole Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman thing, I think it's kind of overstayed its welcome. And Seth Rollins winning, and I'm just going to say this, I'd give it a good solid 3.5 stars. Solid 3.5. And the reason why is not the match itself, but the what's come out of it. This alliance with Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, that makes me want to see what Monday Night Raw is going to be all about. I think all three men delivered. Props to everybody. Props to Paul Heyman. Props to the referee. I think when it comes to night one, this is what is going to hook the fans' attention for night two. And gentlemen, anybody else's thoughts here? Because to me, I thought this was definitely the cherry on top of night one.
I'll go ahead and start real quick because I just overtook the conversation. Sorry, guys. All joking aside, I know I joke a lot, Luke, but man, you are one of the most influential men in the history of independent Midwest wrestling. And I know I give you a lot of trouble, but brother, I respect the shit out of you, and I always appreciated what you did for me in the ring. I don't know if you guys know, he was the man that taught me the technical side of wrestling. He's one of the greatest minds in the Midwest, probably in the whole United States when it comes to wrestling. He doesn't get enough credit, and I'm not kissing his ass. I just want to give him his due where it is. And but regards to now, I'm going to return to my my true form. Fuck all of you. And anyways, the main event reminded me of a match we never got, a triple threat we never got. and that is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock versus Triple H. That is the equivalent of this star caliber of this match that I thought. It was a little underwhelming. I knew what was going to happen. I felt like the whole way leading in that Heyman was going to side with Rollins because he'd already been with Punk, he already been with Roman, but it just I was a little underwhelmed. I wanted to see Punk get the W, but we know how the storyline needs to pan out. Hopefully he'll. Right now, it feels like Roman had his years. He had 3+ years of dominance. He had to take the L. That's understandable. But I'd like to see Punk get his due since he's been back. It seems like, yeah, he's won some. He won a War Games here. He's won a Hell in a Cell there. But it seems like when the big matches are coming up, he's fallen short. I give this 3.75 out of 5. It just was a little underwhelming. I was expecting maybe it's because we're all so fucking spoiled, but I just feel like it was a little underwhelming, and it was predictable because Heyman can't be a good guy. He never can.
Yeah, I have to agree with Justin there. I mean,
good job.
Anybody who didn't see that coming is, worse than blind. I mean, that was so predictable that he was going to turn on both of them and just end up with Seth. I mean, that anybody should have been able to call. And I don't know. I expected a little bit more out of it for some reason. And but yeah, so I'd say about 3.5 stars for the match, but it's mostly because of the story. I mean, not as much because of the actual match.
I take offense to that comment, sir, because I don't consider myself blind. I consider myself, maybe blind to the story, but I found myself invested, okay? I loved this match. To me, even if for you gentlemen, it was obvious that CM Punk was going to be turned on as well as Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman was going to side with Seth Rollins. To me, the beauty in wrestling is not if it's unpredictable, it's how they tell the story. And in my honest opinion, I think they handled this beautifully. I think from a facial expression, from a narrative flow, and just overall pacing of the match, I thought it was phenomenal. I think triple threats are very difficult to get right. I think triple threats with a lot of moving parts are very difficult to get right. And I think triple threats having a fourth person on the side as a major story element with said moving parts is almost impossible to get right. And I think these men knocked it out of the park. I think the way that the story handled itself right up until the end was really where it got me. I think the visual was fantastic. I just love you made me do this. You made me choose. That's what I live for in wrestling, is the moments where we get to quote it, when we get to look back and be like, you did this to me. I still think about Seth Rollins screaming die to CM Punk at the Elimination Chamber. So for me, it may have cost me Mania, but damn it if I didn't enjoy every last second of it. I was on the edge of my seat. I was gripping the pillow between my chest, just trying not to remember to breathe during every single pinfall. And I thought all the spots were fantastic. I marked out when he did the pedigree counter to the spear again, because I think that's one of the most creative spots they've come up with. And just the amount of finishers that we set them up, but they knew how to do it. From beginning, middle, to end, I was thoroughly entertained. I would watch that match again in a heartbeat. So to quote one of my favorites, Joe Bob, 4 stars. Check it out.
Most definitely. Now, gentlemen, I'm going to tell you right now, and I want to go ahead and give a shout out and say, give a thank you to all those who stayed with us. 2 hours. Right now, almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact, and I just want to throw this out here, because I know we got a few people here in the chat. If we were to do this in the future, because again, we're now looking at SummerSlam being 2 nights. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't say Survivor Series is going to wind up being 2 nights, or the Rumble is going to be 2 nights. If we ever get to a 2-night pay-per-view again, would you want to see this as 2 separate episodes? I mean, that's one of those we would just, again, if you have that input, throw it in the chat. Let us know. Give us your commentary. Now, gentlemen, again, we know what's here. We know what's going on. I want to go ahead and kind of summarize here. There was a big night in night 2. There were a lot of great matches. I mean, again, when you look at it, you had the women's triple threat match. You had the street fight between McIntyre and Priest. You had the 4-way for the IC title. You had the mystery opponent for Randy Orton. You had Logan Paul and AJ Styles. You had the women's tag team match. And, of course, you had the match that everybody's talking about, John Cena and Cody Rhodes. Gentlemen, I want to go around the horn here real quick, but I want to do it this way. What would you say was your least favorite match of night 2 and your favorite match of night 2? And Arsene, I know you have been basically talking all night long. I'm going to throw this to you. Your least favorite, your most favorite from night 2.
I'm glad you're starting with me because I again, as the apologist of this entire show, I was pretty on the bright side about a lot of stuff, but there was one match that got under my skin, and it got under my skin because it got even worse the Monday after. And I'm assuming you gentlemen already know what it is, but for God's sakes, I hated the women's tag team title match. I thought just shelving Bayley for the sake of a Becky return was not needed. Okay, I think they easily could have made it to where Bayley and Lyra could have, lost the match effectively. Maybe Lyra could have turned heel right then and there, and they were jumping Bayley, and then they could have Becky's music hit and come to the rescue. They didn't do that. They decided it was more important to pop the crowd with a nothing match for the tag titles, and then what do? They fucking lose them the night afterwards. So it wasn't even worth it. It wasn't even long-term. And the heel turn for Lyra made even less sense because she's not feuding with Becky. She turned, right? I'm trying to remember. She turned. And it's
No.
like, she didn't?
Becky was the one that turned.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that still makes less sense, okay? It doesn't amount to anything. I'm yelling right now. I'm sorry. I have people sleeping in my house. My neighbor's going to start complaining. But it amounted to nothing, and it really just boiled down to, okay, and then where do we go from here? What's the payoff from this? Okay, where are the women's tag titles going to go from this? We still have no division for them to be fighting, and then is Becky feuding with Lyra? Is she going to be losing the IC title to her? And then the biggest question out of all this, where the fuck is Bayley? It's a work. Obviously, she's injured. And I was waiting for them to turn her heel, and we didn't get anything out of it. So to me, when I think about a match that was supposed to pop the crowd, this was it. And it was in every single, you look at the DNA of the match, and it's right there. We got a return. They win the championships. They're coexisting, blah, blah, blah. It was bad. And to try and put a cap on this, only because I know I'm going to have a lot of people disagreeing with me, but my favorite match from night 2 was indeed the main event. And I will defend this only because I feel like I have other people who have their stances on this match, but it's only because the way it was handled and the effects that we are going to see in the opposite sense of this, now that we know what's happening after this match, I cannot wait to see where the story goes. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me. I'm sure people can't stand the whole Travis Scott interference. I can talk about that till I'm blue in the face, but I liked it. Plain and simple.
All right, Hardcore Hoss, I'm going to throw it to you. Worst and best of night 2.
It's actually really hard to pick. I mean, there were so many things that I just, I wasn't much on the main event. Everybody knew John Cena was going to win it going into it. So it was very predictable. And I think the match itself personally was underwhelming, and when it comes to Orton's match, I don't believe in Joe Hendry. That's just me. And the women's match, it's actually very hard to pick just one match as the least favorite. And as far as a favorite match, I'm not sure. I felt night 2 I felt WrestleMania as a whole was just underwhelming this year.
Okay, very valid point there, Hoss. I mean, there's a lot of things to look at. Justin, I'm going to throw this to you.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I know this entire time you've been thinking about the night where you dumped me on my head with that angle slam.
I love dumping you on your head.
I know you did. But like I said, your favorite or your least favorite matchup of night 2 of WrestleMania.
Okay, so night 2 is underwhelming compared to night 1, but the whole show was underwhelming, as Hoss said. I believe I don't believe in Joe Hendry. I believe that the most underwhelming, my least liked match is because I don't know where he's going to go from this, was Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. The match was great, but I'm just I was deflated when AJ lost. I know he's you got to give the young gun the up and comer the due diligence, and he's also a marketing ploy for the Prime drink or whatever the fuck they drink. But he did a lion salt to Styles halfway across the ring, and it made me say Jericho needs to retire the lion salt. After seeing Jake, is it Logan Paul or Jake Paul that wrestles? Logan, okay. But it just upset me seeing AJ lose at a Mania, because he's a fucking Hall of Famer. My favorite match was not because of the match itself, but the matches we're going to get going forward for the next year was the main event. I'm happy to see Cena win because now we're going to get to see Orton and Cena one last time. I do believe Punk is going to be given a title shot. They'll tear the house down. So we're gonna have some good main event matches in the next year with Cena as champ. Yeah, it was everybody saw it coming and stuff, but the man is the Hulk Hogan of our time. He's the Bruno Sammartino of our time. He's the Austin, the Bret Hart of our time. Of this time period, and I'm happy he's getting a send off like this. Everybody wanted him to be heel, but now they're all cheering his ass. So we'll see what happens. But overall, I was underwhelmed by both nights of Mania.
Well, I'm gonna wrap it up here with this. Number 1, I'm gonna give an honorable mention to saying his name, and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I'm sorry, it's just there. I see a lot of superstar potential in Joe Hendry. All that aside, the match that to me was the most underwhelming, and you're going to be stunned, is Cena Rhodes. And here's why. 2 words: Travis Scott.
Yeah.
It made no sense for him to come to ringside. His involvement in the match made even less sense. And what it led to made even less sense. To me, I look at it, I mean, again, do you take away Flair's record? My opinion, no. Let him stay where he is. Let him get his flowers. Let him move on down the road. He's got so many other options. Why are we having John Cena force-fed down our throat again? Sorry, my opinion.
You want to
Match
know why?
to me,
because he's going to ruin wrestling.
That's true. The other avenue is best match of WrestleMania, not night 2. WrestleMania was the triple threat women's match. And the reason why all 3 women went out there, they delivered, they had the crowd on their edge of the seat consistently. The entrances were phenomenal. The wrestling was phenomenal. I got to tell you, and Justin, you brought up an excellent point. The idea of we're going to get one more Cena Orton. We're going to get one more Cena and whoever. I mean, yeah, see him and Punk. Maybe we're going to get one more with him and Roman Reigns. Who knows?
Hey, maybe we'll get him and Damian Priest down the road. You know,
That's
that'd be
true.
You know, so
Well, here's the idea, though. I think right now, if you put Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Bianca Belair in any combination of the three, I think that you've got a great matchup. I also think now with what they've been doing with trying to integrate the likes of Roxanne Perez and Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, a lot of this NXT talent that's coming up to the main roster, the women's division on Raw, hands down, could be, and again, a lot of people may disagree with me on this one, but very well could be the greatest athletic wrestling women's division in the history of the sport. I see a lot of wrestlers that are coming up who know the difference between a wrist lock and a wrist watch. We have women that can go out there and actually compete. We have women that will go out there and literally lay it all on the line. A prime example last night, wasn't necessarily a huge fan of how it got there, but seeing Stephanie Vaquer take a German suplex on the floor, and it made a fair degree of sense. That kind of thing to me shows me how much grit and determination and passion and love for the industry that these ladies have. And yes, Renee, I still believe, okay? Let's not go there. I believe. I'm going to put it this way. I believe in Joe Hendry. Or, as I heard in an interview, I believe in Joe Hendry. We'll go that way. So, again, from top to bottom, though, I think we're all in agreement. WrestleMania, here's my view. And gentlemen, I'm gonna see it, just a simple thumbs up, thumbs down. Would WrestleMania as a whole been better to you if it would have been, instead of night 1, night 2, would it have been better to be night 1 Raw? If you take the Raw after Mania and you put that in the spot for night 2, does that make your opinion of WrestleMania go up? Simply put, Hoss, yes or no?
I think it does improve it some, but I don't know that it does a whole lot, honestly. I mean, Raw was better than Mania, but what they put out didn't make it hard. And, you know, Gabe, you said that Cena is going to ruin wrestling. Well, that's okay. Cena's going to ruin wrestling, but if you've seen it, Hogan and Bischoff, they're going to they'll bring it back. They're going to put wrestling on its butt.
Sure, like those last two companies, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm sure.
Justin, your thoughts? If you replace WrestleMania Night 2 with Raw, is that enough to at least turn it around for you?
I'm not a fan of these 2-night shows. I never have been. They're just money grabbers, because back in the day, they had all these motherfucking matches on one Mania. So I would rather take one night of wrestling, because I love wrestling. I always will, but I have a life as well, and I don't want to plan it around. My weekend gets lost because of 2 nights of wrestling. There's some matches I don't even give 2 shits about. So just put it on one night and give me and butch up the Raw. So like they used to. The Raw was okay, but it was we've seen some badass Raws in the past. The Raw I can remember was after the 2002 Mania. 18, you got the debut of Brock Lesnar, some big name debuts. Yeah, well, Monday we got Rusev. Oh boy, well, we got him to come back. That's great. The Redeemer, whatever. Who gives a fuck? Yeah, it just give me a better Raw and one night of Mania.
Very valid point, Justin. Arsene, you get the final thought here as we kind of wrap up the WrestleMania rewind. If we switch out night 2 for WrestleMania's Raw after. Would that be enough to change your opinion?
I mean, change my opinion from being the only guy looking on the bright side here. So it's like, it wouldn't necessarily change my opinion. It would just boost it up. But yes, I do think it would go hand in hand with how I feel about Mania as a whole. I think it's great. I personally thought it's always nice to get a Raw after Mania because the crowd is still hot and it's just, you know, you get stuff like a Miro return or an Aleister Black or just Randy RKOing the shit out of Cena was enough for me. Like, it was just the fact that he was stalking him from behind, and it's like, dude, how does he not know he's there? You've wrestled this man 100 times. But yeah, in simple terms, I give it a double thumbs up.
All right, you heard it right here from the Wrestle Talk Podcast. Now, gentlemen, before we go, and again, I want to give a shout out to, we got a lot of great news here tonight. We got the opportunity to talk with Doomed Outfitters. We got the opportunity to announce the relaunch of the FWWC tonight. We had the scoop from the WDWA with Code Red taking place on May 10th in West Virginia. I know that Hardcore Hoss is going to be in the house. We had a little more about Elevation with WDWA and the Wrestle Talk Podcast coming into existence, debut episode next week. Real quick, gentlemen, I know we have a couple of graphics we want to show here before we wrap everything up here today. Hardcore Hoss, you could throw some of the, or Arsene, or anybody back in the back of the production team, if you can go ahead and throw some of these graphics up just so we could share them with the members of the Wrestle Talk Podcast. As you see right here, Code Red on Saturday, May 10th, as you see here, the Mid-Atlantic Championship match between Rancham Carlson and the Gatekeeper, Cisco. Cisco, great matchup. Had an opportunity. We've had Cisco on the show before. It's going to be a great matchup for the Mid-Atlantic Championship as a part of Code Red. We move on here. LDJ taking on, and Hoss, you're going to have to correct me here. Can you pronounce the name here?
Yeah,
I don't want to.
The name
what is
Waikiki.
Okay. Waikiki, again, another great matchup. I've had an opportunity, and again, this is truth here. I've seen LDJ compete, and definitely a matchup that you want to see. Again, you can tell from the physical look that he's going to deliver here. And this matchup here, the manager very well is going to be a wild card as a part of Code Red. Another matchup that we're going to.
And that match, Luke, just to fill in a little bit, there used to be a tag team between LDJ and Stephen Forte. They were called the Sigma Males. Stephen Forte was hurt. He's been out. So he kind of became manager while he's out. But now apparently he's been cleared for a few months now. But Supremacy has not told him that. They've kept it from him. So there's a whole question there on what's going on with Supremacy and what's going on between Stephen Forte and LDJ, because he's trying to convince him to reunite Sigma Males and forget Supremacy. So it's a whole interesting story there.
Very true, very true. Let's go ahead and throw our next graphic up here. There's a lot of other things that are going on here. Mixed tag team action here, as you can see. Valerie and I believe that is Samuel Thompson taking on Gerard Garrett and Tiffany Grady. Again, going to give the best of both worlds when it comes to Code Red with the WDWA on Saturday, May 10th. Now, for those of you that are in the St. Louis area, an opportunity here.
Hey, Luke.
Yeah.
Hey, Luke, real quick, out of the representatives from our show, who is in the West Virginia? Is this West Virginia?
This is West Virginia. This would be Nightmare Jones territory. This would be Hardcore Hoss territory. This would be Hardcore Sis. Matter of fact, as you heard earlier on tonight, the WDWA Elevation program is a collaborative effort between the Wrestle Talk Podcast and WDWA. Its debut show next on May 6th.
Okay,
Next Tuesday, right here on the Essential Enterprise Network. And again, It's going to be an opportunity to see the best in professional wrestling from the Mid-Atlantic area. Again, as you know very well, being the wrestling historian that you are, the Mid-Atlantic territory back in the day was definitely one of those that you wanted to be in, and the WDWA is consistently bringing that same quality of professional wrestling to that part of the country. Now, Hardcore Hustle, you can bring up the other one for those that are in the St. Louis area this coming Saturday. And Justin, I know you've had the opportunity to attend. I think you can bring up the graphic here. Dynamo Pro, my home company, is going to be taking part in the St. Louis Cinco de Mayo Festival here in the greater St. Louis area. We have been a part of this for years. A lot of great sponsors that are going to be a part of it. Arsene, you look a little confused.
It's par for the course for Gabriel.
Well, as you see right here, I mean, again, it's going to hopefully come up again.
Is the graphic up?
I don't know. I know it was sent into the production team. We finally find it after the fact. But the fact is, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to have a great opportunity, Dynamo Pro Wrestling usually puts on 3 or 4 sets of matches over the course of the day. Lots of great street food, lots of great vendors, lots of very cold, very large beverages for those that like those kind of beverages. I'll tell you right now, every year, that's one of my big things is I have to go and try to visit every street taco vendor I can find along the way. Great food, great entertainment, great wrestling, you name it. Dynamo Pro Wrestling this Saturday. Usually in the past, I believe we've been Cherokee and Iowa. And there's our graphic. Cinco de Mayo from 11, I believe. Again, my vision's getting here. I believe it's saying
11 to 8 p.m.
11 to 8, and I'll tell you right now, Dynamo
on the streets by the police.
Usually has been, in most cases, noon, 2, 4, and 6 p.m. They usually put on several different wrestling events over the course of the day. And I'm going to tell you right now, where else can you go and enjoy great food, great music, great entertainment, and free pro wrestling?
Do you have a match card? Is the match card set? Or is
match card right now, I'll tell you right now, I believe it was last year, the Dynamo Pro Tag Team, I think it was last year, the Dynamo Pro Tag Team Championships actually changed hands at that event. We've had that happen. We've had the MWR Missouri State Championship has changed hands as a part of Cinco de Mayo. We've had the Dynamo Pro D1 Championship has changed hands. Actually, I think the only title that has not changed hands, and I'll have to go back and do the research and come back to you in 2 weeks on that. I believe the only title that has not changed hands at Cinco de Mayo has been the Dynamo Pro Heavyweight title.
And just for everyone's knowledge, who's the current Dynamo Pro Wrestling champion right now?
Right now, as it stands, the Snitch once again is the Dynamo Pro Heavyweight champion.
And speaking of the Snitch, we have breaking news that the Snitch, the best luchador of all time, will be at Dynamo Pro.
You talk about say his name and he appears. It's not Joe Hendry. It's actually the Snitch, but it only applies to Luke. If you mention him, it's like Beetlejuice. You just don't say it.
Are we talking about Howard Stern's
He's been on the air for 3 hours and 12 minutes, and he's still on the show.
Well, at least we got a listener. He's another listener, right? You can't get mad at him. He's listening in, So
I know. I need to be a broadcast journalist. I know Bobby Heenan would be mad at me.
Yeah,
but moving right along.
Your screen is going put right now.
Yeah, moving right along again. And Justin, I know that you've had the opportunity, and again, we've got the graphic here. Want to give it. This was announced earlier today by the Cauliflower Alley Club. The Carl Lauer Independent Promoter Award is going to be. Oh, now he's speaking Spanish.
Well, it's Cinco de Mayo coming up. You know,
That is true. That is true.
As your
Let's
guys'
go ahead and
champion.
bypass the snitch here for a minute, and let's bring up the graphic of a good friend of mine, the one, the only Herb Simmons, being recognized today with the Carl Lauer Independent Promoter Award by the Cauliflower Alley Club. This man is also, in addition to being in pro wrestling for over 40, nearing 50 years of being in the professional wrestling industry, but also again, he's won the Red Bastien Award from the Cauliflower Alley Club. I believe he's a member of the board of directors now of the Tragos Hall of Fame and the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame weekend in Waterloo, Iowa.
He's a godfather.
Again, simply put, a great man. I've had a lot of great conversations with Herb, and again, much props to Herb. Cauliflower Alley Club's Carl Lauer Independent Promoter Award for 2025, which you can catch the actual formal presentation April 18th through 20th in the beautiful Plaza Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada on Fremont Street. Tickets are available by going to caulifloweralleyclub.org for all your information. And ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap everything up today, I want to give a shout out, and I noticed this, and I want to give a shout out because we're talking about wrestling, and I got to give a shout out to him. 92 years old, the one, the only, Willie Nelson, ladies and gentlemen, still going strong at the age of 92, celebrating, if I understand correctly, celebrating a birthday today, a man who was a part of WrestleMania.
WrestleMania 7, right? Yeah, he said
very true, very true. When you're looking at
America the Beautiful.
Yes, let's see. 7, 17, 27, 37. Next year would have been, if he, like I said, would be 35 years since he's been a part of WrestleMania, and he's still going strong. The one, the only, Willie Nelson, celebrating a birthday today. I figured, gentlemen, that would be a perfect way to kind of wrap up our WrestleMania rewind. But before we go, gentlemen, let's give one last shout out to all of our great sponsors who help make the Wrestle Talk podcast go each and every episode. Want to give a shout out to Retro Zone, Painter's Dream Productions, home of the one, the only Big Daddy P and the Snippets of Truth, the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, Sunday, June 22nd, Andre's Banquet Hall in St. Louis, Missouri. Tickets are available by going through their social media outlets. Interstate 70 Sports Media, home of the Maestro Jeremy Karp and Roundabout Sports. Little Popeye Designs, home of those great Wrestle Talk podcast tumblers, which are quickly going to be selling out. And once they're gone, they're gone. And of course, as you heard right here earlier tonight, the FWWC, the world's premier fantasy wrestling group. And as you heard, on May 22nd, the return of FWWC Tonight, the all-new FWWC Tonight. And again, without our great sponsors and without our great viewers, the Wrestle Talk podcast does not function for 514 episodes. Gentlemen, before we wrap this up,
you missed Doomed Outfitters, our brand new sponsor.
That is true. That is true. And also, to give you an idea, as you heard earlier on from the CEO of Doomed Outfitters and the new host of FWWC Tonight, you can get, there's something you want produced, they'll make it, whether it's a t-shirt, a onesie, a championship belt, you name it. Doomed Outfitters, they're the guys to go to, and they will be able to do it for you. You want to look the best, you want to look the part, you want to be the best that your brand can be, Doomed Outfitters are the people for you. Also want to give a shout out to the great folks over at WDWA. And as a reminder, Elevation next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I do believe are the times. So you want to make sure to check them out next week. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Hoss, they will be going every other week that we are not on the air. They will be on the air every Tuesday night with WDWA Elevation, correct?
Correct. Myself and Gavin will be there, WDWA Elevation, the opposite Tuesdays of Wrestle Talk Podcast. That way you will have programming on the Wrestle Talk Podcast page every single Tuesday night. So be sure to tune in.
Also, okay. John, I want to throw one more out here too. And we're hoping that we can have an announcement here on the next episode of the Wrestle Talk podcast. We are all about giving you the best in professional wrestling information, whether it's Hardcore Hoss and Susie Haas bringing us information about WDWA, or our resident MLW correspondent, Gabriel Arsene, bringing us the best of MLW, or the Maestro Jeremy Cart bringing us stuff on promotions such as Pro Wrestling Epic, or myself with Dynamo Pro, or Justin whenever he sees something big going out on the West Coast. A lot of things with pro wrestling, but I'm going to tell you right now, and again, this is one of those, you heard it here first on the Wrestle Talk podcast back several months ago. We right now are going to try our best. You know that on Sunday, June 22nd, yours truly, Luke Roberts, a member of the board of directors of the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, will be going into the Hall of Fame. We are going to try to see at least to get those that have been on the show to be able to broadcast their speeches live on social media. That would mean the likes of myself, like the Native Nightmare Jeremy Lightfoot, like Doc Lombardi. I'm almost thinking here off the top of my head. We're hoping that we can have either of the specialty awards, the Blackheart Award or the Parisi Award. And we're hoping to have a couple of the other nominees or inductees as well. But right now I am hoping, and again, keep your fingers crossed and make it a point to go check out their page as well. We are trying to see if we can be, through all of our technology, the exclusive carrier of the 2025 Hall of Fame induction ceremony in its entirety on social media. So for those that aren't going to be able to make it to St. Louis for the event, for those that you have grown familiar with, you can identify here through the Wrestle Talk podcast, we are going to try our best to make sure that if you are not able to be in the St. Louis area, that we can make it a point that you get to be a part of such an amazing weekend. And again, we got the question here, Wade, when are we going to see more of you? I'll tell you right now, Justin Wade always brings a great perspective to the Wrestle Talk podcast here. Gentlemen, before we go, real quick here, any final thoughts as we near 3 hours and 30 minutes of the Wrestle Talk podcast? Hardcore Hoss, any final thoughts here tonight?
He's muted.
You're right.
Hardcore Hoss, you've officially committed Luke Roberts muting 101.
Sorry about that. But yeah, just it's been a great show. It's been a lot of fun. Wade, love having you back. Hope we get to see more of you. Also, don't forget, if you're on Facebook, send us some stars. That helps out with the programming. And also, we also have fan sponsorships. If you want to be a fan sponsor right now, Susie Haas is the only one, but hit us up if you'd like to be a fan sponsor of the Wrestle Talk podcast. We'll get you set up there. But, we just thank each and every one of you, and just looking forwards to everything to come, because the podcast just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And also at WDWA Code Red, if you're in the area, come out. I will actually have a table set up for the Wrestle Talk podcast. So, stop by, say hello, and we're just going to have a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
Most definitely, Haas. Justin, any final thoughts from you from the West Coast here this evening? All right. He is now officially in the Luke Roberts Muted Microphone Club.
Hopefully you didn't hear that. I have a lot of love for all of you. When should I be expecting my plane ticket and hotel reservation to the Hall of Fame, Luke? You said that would be coming my way at some point.
I'm going to put it this way. like I said, being in my position, I know where I'm at. But when it comes
Usually
to
bent
travel
over.
and correspondence and making sure that you have the appropriate travel accoutrement, and yeah, it was a big word, in order to get there, that in
Not
the
a
Wrestle Talk
megabus.
podcast circles, that falls under our director of travel and media appearances, that being the young lion with the old soul, Gabriel Arsene. You can make it a
Petty
point to
cash.
contact him. He is in that wonderful, beautiful sunshine state of Florida, and he will be the one to make sure that all of your travel arrangements are taken care of, courtesy of the one, the only Gabriel Arsene.
First class, motherfucker.
Arsene, your final thoughts for here tonight.
No, I'm just kidding. I
funny.
I just wanted to
I
think for
already
a second
get
that my mic was off. No, it's nice to be able to get to the end of the show like this. I mean, we've been going for 3.5 hours, man, and it's like it just comes so naturally, especially when we can get this many people on the show. This is just following Mania. Think about this. This isn't even a Wrestle Madness, and we were able to pull something out of this. And I just want to say, not to get gushy on you guys, and we're all dudes here, but it's always a pleasure to work with you guys. It's always awesome to be able to have everybody take some time out of their day to be able to do this show, to be able to talk wrestling, to make it feel less like an obsession and more like a hobby that we can corroborate with everybody. See, I'm not as good with words as Luke is.
Collaborate.
Okay. No. Is it corroborate? Isn't that a word?
Collaborate?
No,
Luke,
corroborate.
I know
There's a
collaborate. Yeah, I know what you're going with, Arsene. I know where you're going.
Okay.
No, he doesn't.
I
He's
wasn't
acting
saying
like
collaborate.
it, guys. He's acting like he knows where you're going. He don't know.
But just be able to take this opportunity, guys. Thank you so much. And Justin, it's a pleasure to have you back, man.
Yeah,
I
brother.
always get excited when you come back on the show, and I only hope that we can see the return of the rant meter the next time you're on here. So
that is true. We could bring back the Wade rant meter right here. That, and you know what else we need to bring back though? We also need to bring the Sunny Money Mayo coffee meter. That's another one we need to bring back here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, on behalf of the executive producer, Renee the Night Owl Martinez, we've got Gabriel Arsene, Jay Wade, Hardcore Hoss, myself, the folks at WDWA, our good friends over at Doomed Outfitters, all of our great sponsors. I mean, from top to bottom, this night has been a great show. 3.5 hours talking pro wrestling, talking about all the things that make pro wrestling great each and every week here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast. For more information about the Wrestle Talk Podcast, about the FWWC tonight, about any of our great sponsors, about the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, make it a point to check us out on the Wrestle Talk Podcast social media. You can find all the information you need to find that particular stuff and make sure that you are a part of the Wrestle Talk Podcast family. Make sure you're informed. Make sure you have taken care of everything you need, because as you see here tonight, whether you're talking West Virginia, you're talking Florida, you're talking the Midwest here in the good old STL, or you're talking out on the West Coast in the beautiful land of Seattle, Washington. The Wrestle Talk Podcast is all across the country, bringing you the best in professional wrestling each and every episode. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all of us, we want to say thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you both next week for the debut episode of WDWA Elevation, and in 2 weeks right here on the world's premier professional wrestling podcast, the one, the only, the Wrestle Talk Podcast. Take care, and we'll see you soon.